be found on our website. Board members are expected to attend meetings in person unless they have a disability or an extraordinary circumstance. Excused members and members of the public will still be able to participate virtually. Members who are joining via Zoom, please leave your cameras on. And this meeting is being streamed live on our YouTube channel and a transcript is being recorded. We can get started with some intros, and we're also very happy to introduce 2 new members of the committee. Very excited. But I'll offer intros. I'm Wendy Gonzalez. I'm one of the co-chairs of BLP.
And Frank Maltubian, the other co-chair.
Kristen Berthe, member. Inge Chenko, member.
Ted Arenas, member.
Alan Austin, member.
Kenny Green, member.
Brendan McGrath, member.
Thomas Garza, member.
So we need more details, yeah.
Okay, so Brendan is a new member of Community Board 4 and is on this committee. Jennifer's what we call a public member. If people, if you do not, you're trying to get your feet wet and community stuff done at the time to the full board, want to see what it's like, you can apply to be a public member of any committee. Those are appointed by the chair of CB4. So Jennifer's a public member, she's a full member of the committee, full voting and everything, but is not otherwise a member of
But you are in Chelsea or Chelsea?
Chelsea.
And I'm at Chelsea as well.
Welcome. We're very excited to have you both. We also just joined by Tina Nelson, and we'll move online as well for intros.
Just me. Hi, I'm Carrie, a member of this committee.
Mike Noble, chair of the committee. Oh, yes, member of the committee.
I think everyone's heard of this before. This committee, in fact, CB4 has no power to grant or deny liquor license or outdoor dining license. This committee will take a vote on every item and makes a recommendation to the full community board, which will hear these on a different, not usual date. The next full board meeting is just in a couple of weeks, on July 23rd. So all of these items will be voted on and all of the June agenda items will be voted on by the full board on July 23rd. And then the full board makes a recommendation, and again, it's only a recommendation to the state liquor authority for liquor licenses and to the Department of Transportation for outdoor dining. The agenda is divided into categories. We do liquor licenses first and then outdoor dining. If you're watching the meeting and want to be heard on any agenda item, when that agenda item is called, please use the raise hand function and you'll be moved into the meeting at appropriate time, but only do that for the items that you want to speak on. To begin, as some of you were here last month, we did not have a quorum of the committee, so we actually couldn't officially vote on any of the June items. There were 7 of us here. We had unanimous consensus on everything, which was to recommend approval on everything except 2 items, one of which is coming back tonight. It's agenda item 2. The other was to recommend denial of the Sidewalk Cafe, chiefly because the building is covered with scaffolding, which has 3 rows of scaffolding supports on the sidewalk, making the sidewalk pretty impassable as it is now. I'm happy to talk about any of those, but I think it's probably easiest to take any questions and then we'll just vote on them with the group unless anyone wants to vote together. Any questions or issues with any of the June ones? Mike or Terry, anything? Mike is here.
No, not for me.
Okay. So do we have a motion to sort of bundle all of the June BLP items?
Motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those denied? Not in favor?
Or abstain.
Abstain?
So abstain.
Abstain, okay. And you're present not eligible. Okay. Thank you. All right, now we will go back in order, back to number 1. So this is the category of alteration and method of operation change. Our first one up is 61 9th Avenue, Siren Retail Corp.
Good evening. I'm Teresa Russo. I'm the attorney for Starbucks Retail Corp. And I'm joined by Chelsea Shores, who's the Starbucks event manager, and Robin Howard, who's the manager of alcohol compliance. When Starbucks initially applied for their liquor license in 2017, they only requested background and unamplified acoustic live music. After operating the community for 7 years as a respectful neighbor, they'd like to request the ability to have some additional live music, DJs, and occasional karaoke inside the premises to improve their guest experience. In addition, when the license was granted, there was a limit of 4 private events placed on the license. They'd like to try to have that cap removed. As you know, the hospitality industry has not fully recovered from COVID, and retailers are always exploring new opportunities to sustain their business model. I'd like to turn it over to Chelsea, who will tell you a little bit about the different types of events that they envision that they'd like to have at the premises.
Thank you, Teresa. Hi, everyone. My name is Chelsea Shores. I am the events manager for Starbucks Reserve. And I would like to start out with, we consistently attract high quality, intentional programming aligned with our Starbucks brand values and community standards. We would never want to do an event that goes outside of that with this flagship location for this global brand. The types of events that we've been hosting are corporate private events, so Fortune 500 companies, startups, and local businesses seeking to upscale environments for their team building and client engagement. We also do brand activations and product launches. So as a flagship location for the company, we would like to use this space to showcase innovation and elevate that customer experience. There's also community engagement events for nonprofits, local organizations, and cultural groups for panels, internal engagement, and performances to serve the broader community. And then what we would also like to tap into is arts and culture, once approved, hopefully with live music, a small footprint, creative DJs, and curated music programming that supports local talent and cultural enrichment. By doing this, we would uplift the event quality and atmosphere. There's a revenue and economic impact, which directly supports the revenue growth through this expanded event program with larger bookings, and drives more attraction and attention to the store, which positively impacts the employment and our vendor partnerships that we've created. We need to stay competitive with similar event venues in the area with these amplified performances. And with this limitation, we aren't able to host certain events because of that. We would always uphold the brand integrity. Our venue maintains a refined aesthetic and intentionally avoids any type of nightlife or club culture. We have, hours of operation that are early, and all entertainment in service of professional and non-explicit music. And for the buyout cap being removed, there's a large revenue and operational growth. That's why I'm in this role, is to expand our event program. And so by expanding the number of buyouts, we can grow sustainably, hire more staff, and support those local vendors year round. It also helps us maintain control when we have full buyouts, because we manage every detail from start to finish, ensuring safety, quality, and the guest experience. And at the end of the day, with these private events, we are selective. They are not open access. So lifting that cap does not mean opening the floodgates. We will continue to curate events aligned with our mission and values as Starbucks, and maintain a selecting booking standards. And it all comes at a very high price. Thank you all.
Yeah, thank you. Teresa, I just wanted to go through some of the prior steps to make sure we're on the same page.
Absolutely.
I see you're carrying over the current closing hours, which are midnight, Sunday to Wednesday, 1 a.m. Thursday to Saturday. And also, there was a stipulation that the consumption of alcoholic beverages will be limited to the mezzanine and the first floor restaurant. Is that still the case?
That when we went to full board on the application in 2018, the chairman did not carry that over for the method of operation. I think there was an agreement that the earlier closing hours were in exchange for being able to serve throughout the premises.
Because I'm looking at something that you attached to your own form, which looks like an official report from the SLA, which says application approved subject to the following stipulations. One of which is limiting it to the mezzanine first floor, and it says voting as follows: Chairman Bradley, yes; Commissioner Ford, yes. This was attached to your, your STIP form. I think the one you submitted when you came for, the Sidewalk Cafe.
I,
Today,
I'm not
Same.
aware of that. I think that there was a stipulation form that was proposed by community board, but when they did the full board voting, that was not the final vote. I can send you the final vote. But I actually just went back today to refresh my recollection and I rewatched the committee meeting, the SLA meeting, just to make sure that all the details were the same. But I'm happy to
think-
send that
I
over.
think Inga has something to say, but do you know the page I'm talking about, that you attached?
I don't know. I know there was only one full board report, which did not have that. There were a couple of community board stipulations that had gone back and forth, but
No, this is not, this is an SLA document, but Inga, good.
Yeah, I do recall that negotiation when Starbucks first came, and we were very specific. Christine, you might remember it as well. We were very specific about not wanting the alcohol in other parts because we were afraid it would become a nightclub type arena. And we were very specific here at the committee. They agreed to it at full board, the community board, but I do not know what happened at SLA.
Christine, this says you were there at the SLA hearing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, we were very specific in our negotiations and they agreed to it at our meetings, both our meetings.
Yeah,
okay, yeah.
I can send you the link from the SLA hearing after this. Like I said, I rewatched it today, and the negotiation that went back and forth was that that Chairman Bradley, the first commissioner, had proposed, Commissioner Green had proposed doing limiting the consumption areas, but then Chairman Bradley said, would you, in exchange for that, reduce the hours? And that's what they ultimately agreed upon.
So this is the report of the 500-foot here.
oh,
That could be.
That's
Okay.
what it is.
Yeah.
okay,
Here.
Okay.
So we need a copy of whatever you are
yeah,
saying.
okay. If you could- yeah.
Absolutely. I can
Is there
send that
any-
over to you.
Yeah, is there anything in writing on that, or?
There is.
Okay.
There was a final report by the SLA that had the specific stipulations that everyone agreed to by the end of the meeting. Yeah.
Well, I mean, the reason this all happened was when you submitted this prior application in April of this year, you attached this.
That was
form.
the 500-foot hearing report, yes, because
But you
that,
said, but you wrote, please see attached previously agreed to stipulations. So that's what's confusing me.
I apologize. And
Yeah, so you are not agreeing to this.
no, I mean, I think that I was not the counsel at the time. It was my understanding that there were a couple of agreements that were made, but then the next day they had reached out and said that they wanted to make some changes. But then everyone came to full board and they ultimately agreed on specific stipulations.
So you want to license the entire premises?
The entire premises is licensed. All we want to do now is change the music. We want to change the music and we want to lift the cap on the number of private events.
right,
Yeah.
and the number of.
Yeah, it just might be relevant
Yes.
in terms of the kind of events you want to have, if you're potentially having them in the entire space. Okay, so you are having them in the entire space.
Yeah, the entire space is licensed currently.
With the exception of the cellar level.
I have a comment. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay. So recently, it just happened that I passed in front of your operation. And there was serving a buffet. And a gentleman with a loudspeaker, a bullhorn. Asking people to test and to go inside, etc. And that didn't sound like the mode of operation agreed to, nor the mode of operation we want to entertain in the district. It was very loud, very crude. And so I'm questioning whether adding more music is going to go toward more outflow on the sidewalk and activities on the sidewalk and all those kind of things.
They're not planning on having any music outside. Everything would be inside the premises.
No, but you had right there, you had somebody with a bullhorn calling everybody to tell them, come inside, and that.
Yeah, Chelsea, maybe you can speak to that. It's my understanding it was a coffee tasting that was being held outside and there was no music.
There is no reason to have somebody, yelling with a bullhorn, so everybody on the plaza could hear it, and it was very unpleasant.
Even if it's not music, it's amplified sound.
Right, it's amplified sound, and amplified sound is not supposed to be outside.
Wasn't it outside the Sidewalk Cafe perimeter?
There's no sidewalk cafe. They were just like that. They had installed a tasting
Oh, they
against
took
the
the
wall.
Sidewalk Cafe
Yeah.
away to do this.
Whatever they did it. So it was not, it doesn't speak well in favor of your application.
Right, it doesn't sound like it's the kind of high, classy events you described that would be going on with the music and the DJ.
I can speak to that. I wasn't there physically, but from what I heard that happened, that is not something that the roastery routinely does. That was a one-time thing, and it was brought on by a partner. Partner is what we call employees, who was not a manager. They were trying to get people to come into the space. They were reprimanded after that. That is not a part of my strategy or the program that we are asking for. So I apologize on their behalf. That is not something that we are seeking to do at all. We're trying to host corporate private events within the space. And I can honestly say that, again, I was not in charge of that. We were not aware of that. We have handled that internally.
Can I ask a question just to get a little bit more idea of the history? What triggered an SLA hearing as opposed to just getting it approved? When this application went in, because if the community board approved it, typically it doesn't go to SLA. So what were some of the concerns that the community had that made it actually go to a hearing?
I think they didn't agree.
Yeah,
Limiting the
there was,
Yeah.
I think several of us were here, things got off on a very bad foot.
Mhm.
Starbucks came in with this, we're a multinational corporate entity, we can sort of do what we want. And we basically said, we think 4 things on this bother us, that it's too big, the hours are too late, and it's, you want to serve alcohol in the entire space. And we said, you sort of really need to negotiate on one of those. And they first did, and then as you heard, as Teresa said, the next day they called and said, sorry, we can't agree to, they'd agreed to limit the space. Where they could serve alcohol, when they came back, so they couldn't. Then there were about 3 months of discussions, and finally they just shut us down. So at that point, we opposed it. We even wrote a letter to the ALJ, who was for the 504 hearing, which I think is why Christine went, saying that they had really just been very uncooperative with the community board.
Okay, that answers my question.
But I believe, we've been in the community for over 7 years and we don't know of any.
I was strictly speaking as to Ted's question as to history.
Yeah.
So given what we just learned, it begs the question, was the community given notice of this meeting so they could attend? They were?
Absolutely. There was an email that went out to everyone and we told them exactly what we wanted to do and we invited everyone to the meeting.
Well, I don't think they have been, intrusive, other than this thing that happened, they happened to be there. Right?
They had a rough start with their Sidewalk Cafe.
Yeah.
They were all over the sidewalk, leaving like 2 feet until they came before us when they had to do the new sidewalk application and we kind of pushed them back because I spent we were there. I spent almost an hour there watching the chaotic side. They were just taking over the whole sidewalk.
They straightened
They straightened it out.
For a corporation not to know that before is a
So
little.
exactly, so they push the boundaries until we say no.
Typical.
I mean, what scares people about giving them this, I think, would be the volume of people, since the hours aren't changing. So like, how many people are gonna be coming to these proposed private events that you're expecting?
You're the same as now.
Yeah.
Right?
Chelsea, do
Yeah,
you
I don't
want
think
to
it's
speak to that?
limited to private events, as I understand it. I mean, they're saying if people will chiefly be that, but they're not saying this will only be a private event.
It's gonna be a club.
Oh, I didn't understand that. So you're saying that you want the music changes to apply 365 days a year?
That's correct. And then we also want to be able to have some additional private events. Right now, we can only have 4 private events a year. So as Chelsea was explaining, she wants to be able to do more corporate and community events.
Okay, so what is more important to you? Having more private event or having all this musical mumbo jumbo?
Robin, do you want to speak to that?
Well, the music that we're seeking, again, there's special programming. So it's not like we would have a live band or a DJ, several times a week. We do a lot of things, in collaboration with the arts. For example, here in Seattle, we've partnered with the Seattle Theater Group, and we have young musicians come in and they do special performances, throughout the year, but not like on a regular, like weekly
So
cadence.
typically you are saying you need this new clause for events.
Yeah, when we initially applied with our initial application, we only checked the box for recorded music. And so, technically we're not allowed to do anything besides recorded music. And then the board said that we could have 4 unamplified performers in terms of live music, but we never actually officially applied for, live music. So we're just trying to have the ability and the flexibility to be able to have music on certain occasions, for special programming. Not necessarily not at all having parties on a regular basis as.
And how many events do you want now?
On average, well, we were just.
No, I'm saying you have 4 events a year.
Yeah, we're limited per the SLA decision.
I'm
Yes.
asking you, how many do you want?
Chelsea, on average, bookings throughout the year, what would a good number be, you think?
For private events, on average, yes, we are asking for no limit, but if we had to put a limit on it, I would ask for 12 every 6 months. That's what we get the request for. That's where we really see that drive and revenue. That's where these companies are coming to us. So if we had to put a cap, that would be my cap. And I just wanted to go back, because I'm going to speak to this, is that the store has turned a new leaf. I wasn't involved with the store at opening or even when the patio situation, but they have a new director now. They don't want to push the bounds as much as possible. I don't want that experience that happened this last weekend. Again, that wasn't even a manager who did that was in charge of that, to affect this decision. We really are here for the community, and we're trying to host. So I just wanted to say that, like, we love being in this area. So I will speak to that, but yes, 12 every 6 months if we.
So we'd love, by the way, if there is a new manager, we'd love to see him or her. I'm surprised it's not here. And what about the music?
So was there no manager on when this happened this past weekend? There was no manager on site?
The director was not there. Michael is his name. I would love to introduce you to him all. Michael, the director of the store, was not there on site when this happened. From what I know, there were some associate managers, but he was not there, so he was not aware of what had happened. And he was the one who took care of it afterwards. He worked 50 plus hours a week. He just wasn't there at that moment.
This is the kind of thing that concerned us with all the applicants, not just you, right? It's like the manager is wonderful, you are wonderful, everybody's wonderful, and then there is this guy who decided to do something else and nobody's checking. So, I think it's important that we understand the chain of command and who is going to control those things. Because it cannot be like, okay, we let the assistant manager do whatever they want.
Chelsea, maybe you can provide a phone number directly to Michael, so if the board has any problems, they can reach out directly to him.
We don't want phone numbers direct. We don't want to be in the business of calling you, telling you you're bad. We want your managers to do their job.
And be on site or have multiple managers.
Right.
This isn't just a typical kind of restaurant. This is a major operation.
It's a huge space.
Yeah.
But I have one point. Besides the music and everything else, as a public service, a community service, does the public have access to your restrooms?
Yes. Yes.
I know something with Starbucks and a lot of the outlets are closed up there, their restrooms to the public, so someone walking off the street and use your restroom.
Or are you?
So-
Oh, go
Is that
ahead.
correct?
Someone who's not a customer.
No, our policy is that customers are allowed
So it's
to
not
use
for the
the restroom.
public.
It's not just anyone off of the street.
Okay, can you change the policy just for this particular location, because
No.
you're asking a lot for this particular location, different from what other venues might be asking for from this community.
No, this is a company change.
So if we had two per month,
Well, I was gonna ask, so it sounds like are you saying that the live music, DJ, karaoke, are they only gonna be in connection with private events? Because I think if you would agree to that, the people would probably feel a lot more comfortable. Not saying you should, but I mean, that's to me, one way around this, rather than, trying to come up with a number of events.
Yeah, I think-
well, we can do both, right?
Okay, or both.
2 a month.
I think as Robin said, it's two separate things. One, they wanted to be able to do events throughout the week that aren't necessarily private events, but not, by any means every single night. If they had an arts event or an event, they wanted to be able to do that music. And then separately, they wanted to be able to do additional private events. And as Chelsea said, they would like 12 every 6 months, which theoretically another caterer could come in and get 12 catering permits, per year,
In other words,
per
you
6 month
want-
period to do events there.
You do want live music and a DJ,
Every day.
yeah.
They're definitely not going to do it every day.
They're not gonna
They
do
just
it
want
every
the
day.
ability to do it when they have events. They just want the flexibility.
I mean, the issue is whether it's private or not, the event, now it's an issue of how many people are gonna be going in and out.
Yeah.
And there's not really a way to determine it. Another thing that we didn't ask is there residential upstairs, because background music?
No.
Okay, so that's good.
There's no residential anywhere near them. And again, it's going to be in the building. They'll never do it outside the building. This is all in the building. And I know that they provided traffic studies, security plans, a sound study. They provided all of that to the board in 2017.
When you talk about the private events, the scope of the private events, it's a large space, so is it just a portion and that counts as a private event? And then you can have dancing and karaoke? Or does it a full buyout?
I can speak
How
to
do you
that.
define-
So full buyout is obviously the entire store would be, and that's what we're currently limited to. We can only do 4 buyouts a year. We do have events within the space, nothing to do with music, where you and 30 of your colleagues could come up and have a part of the roastery. So it could be down on the experience bar or up on the Arriviamo cocktail lounge. And that is not considered a private event. And again, that has nothing to do with music. We're not speaking to those. We're speaking to these buyouts, right? That are full store closure.
And Chelsea, they've done you've been doing the 4 a year and there have not been any issues.
No issues at all with those. If anything, we're turning down business at this point because we can't do any more. I only have 1 left for the rest of the calendar year, unfortunately.
I think I want to give some community comments.
Hi, thank you. My name is Hector Vasquez. I'm a non-voting member of Community Board 4, I'm a member of this committee. I'm also a member of the Fulton Tenants Association. And basically, there are residences about a block away. We're very familiar with your location. It's a high traffic area. I don't know what the limitations about the Sidewalk Cafe is supposed to be 2 feet or more than that, or how does that work exactly? That's a quick question. So.
It's supposed to leave 10 feet
Yeah.
of clear path.
10 feet.
Okay, so.
10 feet
so that-
of clear path.
Yeah, because it does get very crowded there,
Mhm.
and I can see the possibility of these little gatherings getting out of control. I mean, who's to say that somebody who's drinking heavily inside comes outside and hangs out on the sidewalk and causes problems? Who's gonna be there to monitor that?
We always have security.
Security.
There's always at least 2 security guards.
Hi, let Tim finish, we'll give you a
Yeah.
chance to respond.
I've seen security there is it's just basically for tourists, they're not, I don't think they're capable of hanging a rowdy crowd, so to speak, okay? And another thing, you said you reached out to the community, us at the Fulton Tennis Association have never heard from you guys ever about this. So, and, we have several thousand residents here, just a block away from us. So that's another thing as well. So basically, we're opposed to this, because we already have a club across the street. And, we also have another restaurant that's on over this that we discussed tonight that wants to do something similar, different situation. We're strongly opposed to this because honestly, it doesn't seem like you guys will have any full control over it. Has this been done at other locations? Has it been done at other locations?
It's done at other locations at, in our other, yes, at our other reserve locations. We have 2 in Seattle, 1 in Chicago, and 2 others in New York.
Yeah, I'd be curious if they actually had that many residents about a block away from those. That's, so honestly, we're opposed to this.
Nellie, is there anybody else from the community who wants to speak on this?
There's no one with the raised hand.
Thanks.
Chelsea, have you ever gotten complaints from any community members in any of the other jurisdictions where you've had these events?
No.
Carrie?
Thanks. Can you guys provide a list, which is pretty standard for our applications, of those who you did reach out to in the community, which I don't see in the application? Sorry if I missed it.
Yes.
For a full board. And this is a total aside, I apologize, but the photos that you have of your Sidewalk Cafe do not have a perimeter set up, like a rope or I think it's on 15th Street side. That's not okay. So if they're current photos, then can you please set up a perimeter?
We can do that.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Fixing for a vote here.
I propose we give them the number of events they want, which is 2 per month, and the music with those events. Yeah, limited to those events.
So
That
it
would
could
be
be
my,
public or private, 24 times a year, 2 a month.
Yeah, I don't think it has to be 2. I mean, we can do, I would do a total for the year.
yeah.
Yeah, 24.
Then that's, it's a big jump.
And all the other music they want, only at those events.
Only, yeah, so 12 times a year they can have music.
24.
Yeah, 24, sorry.
That would be mine.
Okay. So, Teresa and your colleagues, the suggestion here seems to be that we be comfortable with 24 private events a year and the additional entertainment you want being limited to those 24 events. What is that sort of think? That's sort of what people are comfortable with?
Yeah, and whether it's private or public, I would be.
Anyone want to push for more or is it?
It feels like a good starting ground, like if there's really no issues, then they can always come back, but that feels reasonable to me.
So
Are
it
you
looks
saying
like,
24, whether it's private or public, or just for private? I'm sorry.
Whether it's private or public.
so
What does that mean? What does that mean?
now I'm confused.
So the music, 24 times a year, whether they do a private event or a public event indoors. They can only do it 24 times a year.
So whether a corporate buyout or whether a community.
And then
Right.
we also limit the private. So does that supplant the limitation of 24 private, would you allow unlimited private events without
No, just 24,
24 events, but then also it's
that
here's.
includes the private or public music events.
Right now they have 4, so this.
So she's saying
Wait.
24 and 24, she's saying 24 events,
Yeah.
right? And then 24 opportunity when you play music,
Okay,
whether it is at one of those
and they
events.
could overlap or not,
Right, exactly.
okay,
So 24 in total.
right. No,
No,
it'd be.
no, what you're saying is it could be potentially 24 and 24.
No, 24 events,
Right,
private or public, but
yes.
only 24.
And what about?
So
the
if they wanna have
So
six
what about the
private,
music?
24 times a year,
Same thing.
same
But
thing.
what she's
Those
saying
same
is
events.
that there's a private event that doesn't have the DJ, then that
That's
would
their
be allowed.
call. That's, they have 24 times to do it. It could be, they could split it up the way they want. They can have 19 music events and the rest private buyouts, or they can have 23 private buyouts and one public one, but only 24 times a year.
24 music.
So just 24 clients. Period.
That's it. Music, buyouts, whatever they want. They can choose, but it's 24 times a year, no more than that.
Because outside of that time, it'd be operating as you currently are. So if there's like
Yeah.
a private event that doesn't require music, fine, that's not an issue. That's.
Whatever
Can I-
would be, yeah.
Yeah, oh, no.
Because then we're limiting it to 24, that's where the
Right.
confusion comes in. So if
That,
you have 24 private events and only 12 of them have live music or DJ, let's say.
Then you can have
You
another,
can have another
12.
12 for the regular.
but you
events.
call that events or you don't
It's
call
just-
that private event.
I think where it gets tricky is I
Yes.
think people are afraid of having a big DJ party multiple times, and I think that's what, you know, they're trying to control by saying
Right.
24 or 24 then. It gets a little confusing when you say DJs to these things.
I personally would simplify and say 24 events and the music is during those events.
Right,
That's it.
that's it. 20,
Okay,
okay,
alright.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
Good
well,
bottom.
let's hear from the applicant.
can I
So,
ask,
Russell.
just to
Yeah.
clarify, I'm so sorry, just so I fully understand. 24 buyouts a year?
Yes,
Okay, got it. And within 24 buyouts allowed a year, and we can have as much music as we want within those buyouts, right?
yes.
But open, we can't have any amplified
No.
music if it's not
No.
within a full buyout.
Well, you have amplified music.
We have, right now, we have 4 unamplified performers
Yeah, I'm not talking about
And
unamplified.
background music.
Right.
And background music.
and background music.
You can have background music all the time. Background is amplified, right?
No,
No.
amplified, no, that's not what we're trying to solve. I'm trying to understand the amplified music, DJ and amplified band or
Right,
artist, right?
those would go with the 24
Correct.
events.
So we
you
can
would
only,
have an expansion of your flexibility when you have those 24 buyout or whatever you call that.
So in other words, just to make sure we're all clear,
Right.
so what we would be comfortable with
Mhm.
would be allowing you to have up to 24 private buyout events each year. And at those events, you could have live music, DJ, karaoke. But otherwise, except for those 24, and you don't have to have it, but you could. And apart from those 24 events, you would only, the music would remain as it was, background music and, you know, limited
To
live
acoustic, right.
And what if they only have 20 events for the year? Could they then do 4 opportunities for music? Since they only did 20 events?
I would say yes, but that's where everyone got
Yeah,
confused.
But just
Yeah.
It's getting confusing.
Well, why don't we give 30 and say 10 for public events and 20 for,
Yeah.
I
for
don't
just-
think
The 24.
that way it's very
24
clear.
events, doesn't matter what.
Right.
kind of event.
Where it feels right.
because I don't think they're gonna be incentivized to say, okay, well then, we have 24 slots, let's forget about them. Let's make this a club and have all these parties, because they make a ton of money from the buy.
But I think it's important to separate the private events from the public, or else it gets to be a lot of gray area. So I think giving a little bit more, it's a little bit more decisive, like these were events that are private and these ones are public.
And I think
I
they need
feel,
public.
I feel uncomfortable with that because it's
Yeah.
very difficult to measure, you know,
Yeah.
are you going to keep every time you come in, you say, oh, no, it's one of the 30, right?
It's either a private event or a public event.
I think
It's an
this is
event.
the private, the 24 private, during those private, they get all the music they want, so that they can get, you know, they can compete with other venues.
Mhm.
Because clearly, you know, if everybody
And the
has
rest of the
something,
time, they have background.
and, you know,
Yeah,
and then we
acoustic.
go from there.
They already
Chelsea,
have.
what would the other events look like if you were to have the public events? I mean,
Yeah,
it wouldn't be big dance parties. What type of
no,
event would they be?
No, we're looking to have more cultural focused events for our customers because not everyone's going to be at a private event. That's for typically Fortune
So they
500
have
companies.
acoustic musicians. They already are allowed.
Yeah, but for those, we don't think it's necessary right now
To have a DJ.
to have a DJ. So,
Or a
you know,
band. It's acoustic.
How would we feel about throwing them a bone and giving them karaoke at least?
yeah,
And
oh no, karaoke,
No.
with the.
No.
Private.
Right.
Karaoke is not
No,
something that you have on your agenda, right, Chelsea?
No.
That's just something that we.
That's just one of the parts. I think, just in terms of these cultural events, again, I will bring up the example of here in Seattle. We've partnered with the Seattle Theater Group. We have a lot of young musicians, a lot of, maybe 4-piece bands, and they, it's not like a rock band, but they need some sort of amplification. And so that's why we're asking to be able to have that live music for these cultural events that would be open to the public. Just maybe a couple of hours, maybe, late afternoon, just to give them some exposure and to tie into the community. So these are the types of events we're thinking of when we say live music.
So one other option, which we've done, would be to do this way, the 24 events with everything they want. And then otherwise limit live music either by number of performers or if they would agree to very limited hours, something where it would not turn into a club.
They already have that.
They already have
They
that.
already have the limited number.
Well, but it's actually, it's
But
for.
it specifically says unamplified.
Okay, so what to the applicant, what hours for live music generally would you find acceptable that we might find acceptable? In other words, we're trying to avoid live music, at 10 o'clock at night.
Oh,
So,
of course.
Is there some hours you would suggest for the live music at non-private events?
Yeah, I can tell you right now, it would be at 5 to 7. That would be our ideal time. If it's on a weekend, potentially a 12 to 2. That's peak time for us. That's when we have the most roastery customers in the space on weekends. Weeknights, it would be a 5 to 7 at max for the time perspective.
Okay, so live music would be limited to.
Amplified live music.
Amplified live music be limited
5 to 7 or 12
5
to
to
2.
7.
Weekdays.
And 12 to 2.
On weekdays, 12 to 2 on Fridays and Saturdays.
Well,
Sundays as well, if possible,
That's
weekends.
Saturday and Sunday or
So
Saturday,
that's
Sunday.
12 PM to 2 PM.
no,
12 p.m.
Yeah.
to 2 p.m. on weekends. Weekends for us is Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or Saturday and Sunday.
Okay.
Weeknights, Monday through Friday.
Afternoon.
So 2 AM in the morning?
No,
No.
yeah.
No,
the afternoon.
p.m. Afternoon. That's peak time for the roastery.
5 PM to 7 PM weekdays, 12 PM to 2 PM, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Saturday, Sunday.
Sunday.
Saturday, Sunday.
Okay.
Control the crowd.
I mean, that's 3 hours and 2 hours in the daytime. I would be fine with that.
would you be okay with them doing DJ until 7 PM
no.
or 5 PM?
No,
I
I
think they need a DJ in there.
Yeah.
It's a coffee shop, supposed to be a coffee shop. It's not, it never was.
Okay, so you want to release now?
Yeah, okay, so this would be a motion I think we're comfortable with. Private full buyout events will be limited to 24 per year. Live music will be limited to 5 to 7 PM on weekdays and noon to 2 PM on Saturdays and Sundays, except at private events. And karaoke and DJ will be limited to private full buyout events.
And can they notify the community when they're having those private events ahead of time?
That seems,
Forget it.
yeah, no,
Okay.
for some, I think.
We're not asking that.
Okay.
That's not private anymore.
So how are we doing?
I don't know, so what do you folks, sorry, so what does Starbucks think of that? I think that is the most you're gonna get from this committee.
And after a year, if everything is going well, would you be amenable to us coming back if?
Sure, you're always welcome to come back, I mean,
But
there's no promise that even if things are going well, people will feel differently, but we'll certainly listen to you as we have. I think this is, the second time you're back since you were approved, so yes.
And do you have what is that, a labor training program for people who want to start to work at Starbucks? Because Fulton Houses is right next to you and there are a lot of young people. And it would be great if they would, there was an opportunity to learn and to become more, qualified.
Like a local hiring program.
Right. Thank you.
I think that's the way
If you don't, maybe that's something to consider, and if you do, let the community board know, because that's something we can definitely share with the community.
Okay.
I had one clarification
Yeah.
for the 5 to 7. Would you only want 5 to 7 on weeknights, or would you also, in addition to the 12 and 2 on Saturday and Sunday, also want 5 to 7 on Saturday and Sunday?
That would be very appreciated if we could.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sweeten it up.
So with that change, are you folks okay with this? Are you agreeing to this? Teresa?
Yes. Robin?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we
Chelsea,
appreciate
I
it.
think we're aligned. Yes, thank you.
Okay, so we're gonna change it to, just so amplified music will be limited to 5 to 7 PM daily, plus noon to 2 PM on Saturdays and Sundays, except at private events.
Yeah,
Okay,
Thank you.
so motion,
Second.
Those in favor?
all right.
Put on online. Mike? Thanks, Siren. Are you in favor, Mike?
And you've got much better.
And what about?
Siren, thank you. Mike, how do you vote on that? You in favor? You put your hand up. That's good.
Mike,
Mike?
wake up, Mike.
Are you in favor?
He's on
Mike, you
mute.
can raise your hand.
Oh, sorry.
Great, thank you. All right, that passes.
Okay.
All right, thank you guys. Thank you very much. We appreciate the partnership.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Have a
much.
good evening.
Have a
Thank
good one.
you.
All right, next up is number 2 on the agenda. And on next section, which is new liquor, wine, beer, and cider licenses. Number 2 is 88 9th Avenue, Sparrow, New York LLC. The applicant here.
Hey, everybody,
88
Matt Colton, representative here. And then I believe the applicant Tosh is here as well. I think he's sharing my name for the night. There he is there.
Fantastic, go for it.
All right.
A little bit of information.
Hi again, everybody. So we were actually here in June. That was the meeting y'all didn't have a quorum at, and there was some pushback from residents. So we decided to kind of take another few weeks and rethink of the kind of pain points and come back to you because we knew you were probably going to lay this one over anyway. So Matt Colton here with Hellbrown Levy. This is Sparrow New York LLC. This is an application at 88 9th Ave. Again, I have Tosh Berman here with me. He's the owner and principal over at Noble 33. So this is the Catch Steak location. So this is an asset purchase agreement directly with the guys at Catch Steak.
In the Maritime Hotel.
Right. So it's 9th Ave between 17th Street and 16th Street. So again, this is an asset purchase agreement. Noble 33, they own many restaurants across the country and even in Canada and London. They have restaurants in Hollywood, Kansas City, Vegas, Houston, Miami, Toronto. This is their Sparrow concept. It's a Italian steakhouse, fine dining Italian steakhouse. They have another location in London. We originally came to you guys last month seeking the exact same stipulations that existed with Catch Steak. They had a 4 a.m. license with stipulations with you guys, specifically that the ground floor would close at 2 a.m. while the upstairs level would be able to be open till 4 a.m. They also had a DJ, which we've decided to get rid of. There will be no DJ at this location. There will, however, be live music. It's a big part of their concept. The idea is light R&B, jazz, and it's 3 times a night during the dinner service for 15-minute sets, right? So there's a 7 p.m. set, a 9 p.m. set, an 11 p.m. set, and they only play 1 or 2 songs. They're on for 15 minutes. It's during the dinner service. It's through the background house system, so nothing that we would consider to be amplified music. Think a light singer, light guitar. We're really not trying to disturb the people that are dining. It's during the dinner service. For the people in the restaurant, the level of noise doesn't change at all. When we were here last month, we'd heard from members of Fulton Houses that they were concerned about the late hours specifically. We decided we don't need the 4 a.m. So we discussed internally, and we're willing to take the hours for both floors down an hour. So that would close the downstairs at 1 a.m. and it would close the second floor at 2 a.m. or at 3 a.m. Sorry. So 3 a.m. upstairs, 1 a.m. downstairs. And then we're willing to agree to the same stipulations that existed for the terrace as well. So this is a bit of an interesting scenario where Catch had an upstairs terrace, but it has a retractable roof on it. So they had stipulated with you guys that that roof would close at 11 p.m. during the week, specifically Sunday through Wednesday, and it would close at midnight Thursday, Friday, Saturday. We're happy to agree to that same stipulation. Happy to answer any other further questions you had. I think that touches on mostly everything, but if there's any specifics, I'm happy to answer them.
Yeah, one thing, I mean, you just heard the lengthy discussion we had about live music. Are there sort of parameters you'd be comfortable about regarding either the number of performers and or the point at which live music would cease nightly?
Sure. So again, the latest it would ever go is 11:15. It's 3 very short sets, so 7, 9, 11. Tosh, I don't know exactly what you're envisioning as far as the number of performers are on stage. I'm sure that's something that we're willing to negotiate. If you want to go into that further.
Well, let's stick with the hours for a moment. So the music you said there's a set at 11?
11, if it's 3 15-minute sets, the last one at 11, music would be done by 11:15. And again, it's all background through the house system. There's no amplifiers coming in, there's no subwoofers, there's no nothing like that.
Are you saying 11:50?
15.
No, 1-5.
11:15.
1-5.
11, and they have
So it's only 15 minutes.
Yeah.
15-minute sets, correct.
Reading 15 minutes.
Okay. I guess I'd be, with the time limitation, I guess I'd be okay without.
But let's talk about everything else before we go clear.
What else is there? No, I just meant for him. I mean, just.
Okay. I am very confused. I don't know about you, but is that I have an application where it talks about 4 a.m.
There was a new one.
This is updated, right?
No, but it says 3 a.m.
There's one that says 3.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, so we were trying to hold off on, we wanted to try to get in touch with Fulton Houses, and I had reached out to Miguel, and I unfortunately never heard anything, but I was trying to hold off as long as possible before we sent in the updated packet, because I wanted as much input as I can get. But I had spoke to the office earlier. I know you guys have an updated packet. There will be no 4 a.m. at any part of this restaurant.
Yeah, maybe just refresh, Christine. Sometimes they change last minute.
Oh, yeah, I'm like,
And there's a lot of stuff that came into
The
this.
Alvin June stuff was also, because we voted on that tonight.
oh, so this is the June, the June is in the June.
Yeah, you
But
gotta go
then-
back to July, yeah,
We gotta
that's
have one.
confusing.
Oh, that's what I want to know. Okay,
Shall we hear from Hector and anyone else from
I have a whole bunch of.
Oh, okay, so then,
All right.
sorry, I didn't.
So, 3 a.m., maybe I'm wrong again, but, the numbers don't seem to match between the inside, outside, and then the one that shows by floor.
So
236, the other one
Yeah,
at 400, but then you showed 500 up there, right? Oh, because you're adding the 2. Sorry, I got it, don't worry about it.
okay.
Right. And do we have the times for the closing of the Do you have a?
Yeah, that, they already typed that
That's in the.
That's in the additional step
Okay.
page. Yeah, the additional steps, there'll be no music outside, rooftop closing 11 and 12, no bar on the terrace, and doors and windows onto terrace closed at all times.
We're going to discuss the number of positions.
If people want to, I mean, I guess I was saying personally, I'm okay, you know, it's gonna end at 11:15, I'm less concerned about the number of musicians.
I think one of the concerns last time that we heard from the community is that that's already a saturated block, and Catch Steakhouse was really only open until 12:30 in the morning when they did have a 4 AM license, but they'd never stayed open past 1. And so what I remembered some people saying from the community last time is that the late hours would be a concern with additional people on the street adding to Tao, which is a nightclub, adding to.
Well, Hector's here, he's one of the people here us, so we can, well, we're here.
Yeah, a couple of times.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, first of all, nice to see you again, but unfortunately, we haven't heard from you. Miguel told me personally that you guys have not reached out to us at all, so I don't know what the miscommunication is, but it hasn't happened. And we're only a block away, so, anyway, long story short. The new stipulations sound okay in theory, but I don't see them written down on the actual proposal. So what you're saying, maybe try to be implemented in the beginning, but that might change down the road, and that's our concern. That, okay, fine, you'll be good for a couple of months, but then, you'll have a party going late, so like 2, 3 in the morning, and then it becomes a regular event, and that's our real concern, that, you know, like you said, the original Catch Steak restaurant was only open till like 12:30, and we never had any real issues with that.
Hector, what were you saying isn't written down, the new hours?
Yeah, I saw the hours, but I didn't see any stipulations about the band being a certain amount of time.
No, that we just talked about right now, that would be right
And
tonight.
also the DJ, the non live DJs, right?
They got rid of the DJ.
Okay, but what about the background music? Is that gonna be
Background music,
controlled or
background music.
it's not gonna be loud, club loud,
No.
like we're talking? Okay, so.
But you have the DJ remote?
Yeah, they did that on the new form.
Yeah, we appreciate the changes, but it's just, we're still very concerned about what happens after we leave here today.
Well, wait, you're saying you're concerned that they won't follow the stipulations?
I mean, I understand they have other locations, but we have no experience with them, so, they're new to the community here, and as you see, some of the other. Businesses that open up, they really don't reach out to us, we're like an afterthought, unless we speak up, so, that's, you know.
Miguel's here too, so let's hear from him.
Yeah, please.
Natalie, could you move over, Miguel?
I moved him over.
Thanks.
Hi, thank you. I just want to correct Hector. I did get an email this morning from Matt. He did reach out to me just to correct Hector on that. But unfortunately, I still don't agree with the hours. 3 AM is just the same as you wanted 4 AM. Like the other board member said earlier, Catch Steak closed at 12 o'clock. Nobody on that block stays open till 3 AM. So it doesn't make sense for them to come in front of this board, in front of the community, saying, give me just that 1 hour. No, that 1 hour is ridiculous. Like I said last month, I'm okay with 1 AM or 2 AM, but definitely not 3 or 4 AM. That's my biggest concern. That late hour, there's no reason for a restaurant, even with live music, to be open so late.
If I could just jump in with 2 points, I'm not sure if this is my chance to speak. I don't want to step on any toes, but I just wanted to hit Hector's point of them being new to the neighborhood. While they might be new to this community board, they're just across the line of they own and operate Medusa, which is just about 3 blocks from here. It's on Hudson Street and West 13th Street. It's a really nice fine dining establishment. It is very indicative of the type of places that they run. They were named best new restaurant in the city by multiple outlets. That it's a really high-end place, and it's the same concept that they're going for here, just with more of a late night spin to it. As far as the kind of staggered hours, we had viewed that as a positive for a space like this because it is a fairly large space, right? Catch Steak had the same seat count. It's about 400 seats spread across the 2 floors. To have that kind of staggered close time, it helps with people leaving, with traffic situation. We don't want 400 people spilling out onto 9th Avenue at 1, 2 in the morning. Having this kind of staggered, the downstairs closes at 1, the upstairs can stay open a bit later. It allows for a better flow of people leaving, and you're not getting that issue that large venues like this tend to run into.
The issue is though, is when Tao closes on Friday or Saturday at 1 AM. What stops them from all running over to your place that's gonna be open?
Express. Harlem, 125th Street will be on the right train. Harlem now.
What is this?
Someone's on a bus. That's a bus. Or Harlem one, that's a subway, Harlem 125th Street Express. Someone's on the A train.
Miguel, just keep yourself on mute for a second, please.
So I was just making a point that Tao's hours at 1 AM closing on Friday and Saturday. And that seems to be like what the hours are for the neighborhood for restaurants that size. I think that's a concern.
So I guess Matthew, knowing that the downstairs would close at 1 and the upstairs at 3, if Tao's getting out
At 1.
What does stop them from all coming upstairs? Because I know you guys, this is a restaurant, but what?
If I may jump in. Hi, everyone. This is Tosh Berman. Number one, we're very careful about being reservation only. We have a very careful door of making sure that we maintain oversight of how we're letting people in. As Matt had mentioned, we're across 8 different cities. We have multiple restaurants that are all in the fine dining realm. We have never had a single violation, not one, regarding noise or traffic. We're a fine dining restaurant. We're simply only trying to create a business model that's sustainable, both for the community and also, within the realm of what it takes to actually be successful right now. Similar to Medusa, we have a slightly later crowd, but we're also very careful about maintaining it, especially in terms of how we work with the community. The community board in meatpacking is also incredibly discerning. They turned down every other restaurant group that came before them for this location because of similar concerns that happened with the previous concept that was a nightclub. And they approved us, and we have never had an issue. And similar with them, I offered my cell phone number to anyone on the board. Whoever has an issue, they can contact me directly. We resolve issues in real time. We have no intention of creating a nightclub. We're not creating a nuisance. We're only trying to create something that's going to be advantageous for the neighborhood and continue to help build what you guys have already created, which is amazing. As you mentioned, you're only 3 blocks away. We didn't just win the award for best restaurant in New York. We won the award for the best restaurant in the United States. And we did it by maintaining the same brand value and the same concept in the way that we run all of our restaurants. We certainly are not trying to do anything that would become the antithesis of what this neighborhood is looking for. We're just simply trying to make sure that we have the ability to maintain a business model that works. And I'm happy, just similar to removing the DJ and as to touch on the music is just adding a theatrical element. We really believe that in this day and age, when people are going out to dinner, they're expecting more than just dining. They want dinner and a show. And so the live music component is just a theatrical experience that we're adding on. It's not ever changing the volume. We're not doing anything that we're not adding a big band. There's no amplified speakers. We just tie into the existing music, and similar to the background music, it's the same. We just have people up that are performing. So the intent is really to create something beautiful. We're in Mayfair in London, which is an incredibly discerning community. We're in Miami. Our next location is being built in Beverly Hills. We absolutely have no intention and will never be trying to create something that is heavily bar driven or nightlife driven. But having a later venue does allow us to seat later and allows us to sustain the business model, which is incredibly challenging in this environment. And so I really hope that you guys understand, our intent and certainly understand that we will do everything in our power to make sure, that we continue to maintain the expectations by this board. And I understand the concerns regarding Tao, but Tao also is a club restaurant. And even Catch Steak was considerably more high volume and high energy than we are. So I hope our track record, you can look us up, you can look up all the other restaurants that we do, will speak for itself.
So, thank you for that. So that in short, then the concern around this, like people spilling out of Tao and coming to your location, that would not be a problem because it is reservation only. So anybody who came to the door, you guys would turn away.
Correct. We only do reservation. The intent is only to allow our existing guests to have another space. The business model that we have is to try to quote unquote own our customer for 4 hours. We try to have them for a dining experience and then allow them to use one of the other spaces in the venue for after dinner drinks or cocktails, or even pre-dinner drinks or cocktails. So the idea is really just about trying to increase revenue because it's very challenging in this environment, especially with labor and the cost of occupancy, to come up with a business model that's sustainable. And it's becoming really challenging nationally, but we're really excited about continuing to grow in the New York market. And this location has been high on our list of a place that we think we can help add and add a level of sophistication to maybe that part of the block that maybe otherwise has had challenges.
Thanks. So Matt, is there a stipulation you'd be comfortable with on this? Whether it's guest limited by reservation only, which sounds a little restricted to me. But is there something you can think of to formulate that would capture that?
There may be an avenue where we can do reservation only after a certain hour if the
I think that would help a lot.
if the worry that people are going to show up at 1 or 2 o'clock and flood the space, then we can certainly say that it's reservation only after midnight or whatever makes people comfortable.
Okay.
Gosh, as long as that's something you think is workable for the business model.
Absolutely. I'm happy to do that.
So we say patrons after midnight will be admitted by reservation only. Okay?
So I'm still.
Wait, are you okay with that?
Yep. Yeah, that works.
Another point I know that was brought up previously was this concern about valet. Similar to Medusa, we won't be doing valet. So our intent is not to be dealing with traffic or vehicles. We'll let people walk or use public transportation or use Uber as we do with our other restaurants.
I'm a little bit confused. You talk about, you mentioned other restaurants.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't seem like the same business model as at the other restaurants. Do I have that right?
It's a similar concept to Medusa. Medusa has a bit of an earlier close time, but it is a very similar concept. So this exact concept exists in London.
Yeah,
Sorry.
so again, going back to that, I'm still confused then, why do you need until 3? Your other restaurants seem to close earlier and the shows end at 11:15.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, let's talk about London. London is more equivalent to New York. What time does your restaurant close in London?
2 a.m. The restaurant itself closes at 2, and then our lounge closes at 3. And the same in Miami. We have the same restaurant in Miami with similar timing.
I see, and it hasn't been a problem there?
I've never had a single violation regarding both public or noise nuisance at any of our restaurants. As I mentioned before, while Matthew is right in the same vein of experience, Medusa and Sparrow are vastly different. I mean, they have totally different music formats, totally different food concepts. The designs are totally different. We do a fine dining level of service and experience, but certainly the concepts are different. So hours of operations are different. This is Italian food. People tend to stay a little later, drinking nice bottles of wine and things of that nature. And we try to incentivize that experience to continue on a bit later. We carry a very extensive wine menu, and people like to sit and do their dessert and then have nice bottles of wine that can go a little bit later into the evening. And so we created basically a sommelier area where our som will work with our guests where they can choose one of the various numbers of wines that we have. And then that was the intent of being able to stay a bit later into the evening.
Your seatings are 7, 9, and 11. And
Those are not our
so-
seatings. Sorry, those aren't are not our seatings. Our seatings, we actually start at 5 p.m. That's when dining starts. And our last reservation is at midnight. And generally a normal seating will last 2 hours. So that was the original intent of trying to do 2 and 4. We are willing to scale it back to do 1 and 3 with the intent of just trying to find a pathway of doing something that will work for everyone. But we do like to, we're ultimately in a precarious situation about leasing a space for 24 hours, and we're trying to do our best to maximize revenue to make the opportunity work. And so taking reservations later is part of what allows us to be able to operate and sustain that level of occupancy cost.
Yeah, but I hear what you're saying, and that sounds reasonable and founded. At the same time, I'm hearing the community saying, we can go to 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock. 2 o'clock, and the other models you have go to 2 o'clock, and your last sitting is at midnight, and it goes to 2 o'clock. So I think it would make a huge difference to the community if you were going to agree to 2 o'clock closing. And then, and then as everybody says, you can come back. And if it is constraining your business, then you can come back and say, it doesn't work. But it doesn't look to us that 2 o'clock would be really such a burden on your business, and it would be a huge relief.
I would be happy to concede to 2 a.m. I obviously want to work with the community, and I want to see everyone. I would like to see everyone see what we're capable of, and if we are able to continue to grow that revenue and later, and you guys feel that opportunity would be something you would be open to because of our track record later on, then we can come back and revisit that. But if you guys feel that 2 a.m. is the right fit, would it be okay if we just made it 2 a.m. for the whole venue so that we can just kind of make that? Okay, I would be happy to concede to that. I certainly want to try to work with you guys to make you feel comfortable.
Thank you.
Excluding the outdoors, right?
Not the outdoors, right?
No, of course not the outdoors. No. I just meant the indoor portion, the first and second floor inside.
Okay, we should wrap this up.
Just real quick. 2 things. Your London location, that's on Avery Road, Mayfair, is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, the hour of operations over there, or at least Google says midnight, but according to your own website, it says 11.
But which side the 2 o'clock?
Yeah, so.
And actually, London, I found this London times are often the last reservation time.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
They
Yes.
say, I noticed that.
All right, and one more thing, Miguel, unfortunately, he's in transit, so, but he'd like to speak to you at more length, if you guys wanna reach out to him, and,
Okay.
maybe you can work it out.
Okay, Matt, can you do that? You have
100%. Yep, they're about to be neighbors, so we can keep this conversation ongoing as much as
So we
needed.
have a motion?
Okay, wait, so let's summarize here. So the closing hours for the entire indoor space will now be 2 a.m. nightly. And then we have 2 additional steps. Live music will end no later than 11:15 p.m. nightly. Patrons after midnight will be admitted by reservation only.
Motion. Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, Mike, thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody.
Aye. Sorry.
Perfect.
Thank you. We appreciate your flexibility and working with us on this. So best of
No,
luck.
I appreciate y'all. Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
All right, next is 183 9th Avenue, 183 9th Avenue Partners, Inc. Do we have a representative from the applicant?
It's all 9th Avenue.
Yeah. Melanie, is anybody here? We have Alex Ricchetti on the
That's
board.
the owner.
Yeah.
He was on there
He's on.
before.
He's on, okay.
Alex Sacchetti, are you?
12.
Yeah, I see your I see your box, but I don't see you anymore.
This is good, it's a small space.
Alex?
Jill Garnett.
Now, is he in the meeting? Looks like he's there.
Garnett.
He stepped away. Okay, why don't we move on and
Okay.
do number 4?
All right, we're gonna move on to number 4, just 10 Columbus Circle, fourth floor. Unit 4.
There he is.
Oh, back, never mind. All right, we're back. Back number 3, 183 9th Avenue, Alex. Sacchetti, you are up. You're able to unmute. Alex, do you hear us? Alex Sacchetti for 183 9th Ave. See.
You still
You could just unmute. Alex. See you.
Alex, can you unmute? Your application is up now. Shame. Alex has been here the whole time.
We don't
It's right there.
we don't have it muted on our.
No.
Here we go. Hi, Alex. Can you speak?
Hi, how are you?
There you go.
Great. Can you tell us a little bit about your application?
Yep, I took over the Cafe Granine space, La Granine on 21st and 9th. It's now Madame Rouge. It's a neighborhood breakfast, lunch, and dinner spot with a very, very comfortable French American, but mostly French, classic French, and with some highlighted items. We serve everything from an oyster bar to mussels in a pot to classic French dishes. And we are serving breakfast from 7:30 to 11, lunch from 11 to 4, and dinner from 4 to 10, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And Sunday, brunch from 9 to 4 and 4 to 9 dinner. And Friday and Saturday, we're serving dinner from 4, and our last seating will be 10:30, everybody to be out by 12 midnight. It's, we applied for a full liquor. It's a very cute, quaint place. I did it with a lot of great antiques and fun stuff, a lot of the same pictures that she had. We have a lot of vintage wood and really kept it classic with subway tiles and just very, very old school chandeliers, and kept it comfortable. The neighborhood's pretty excited. I'll be honest with you, I've never gotten more excitement in a location opening. At least 150 people a day saying when you're opening, and they actually get mad. Why are you not open? So I run restaurants my whole life. I've been in Manhattan in the 90s on the Upper West Side. My first restaurant on West 72nd Street. I then opened restaurants on Madison Avenue, Café Notre Dame, which is Madison spelled backwards, next to Armani on 65th and Madison in the 90s. I owned restaurants in Fairfield, Connecticut, and in Greenwich, Connecticut, some Italian and some American. We owned Roccanelli restaurants in Westchester, known as Pizza and Brew and Spiga. We're the Roccanelli family. I split off many years ago. We've been in the operational since 1970. We run a restaurant first. We're not a bar. It's just a waiting bar and a cafe bar where you could have coffee, cappuccino, have dinner at a bar, and it's pretty tight. So we're not, we never will be a bar in any of our locations. We're a restaurant first.
One question about your closing time. Monday to Thursday, you have 10 p.m. Is that when all patrons will be gone at 10?
Yeah, we stopped serving food by we stopped seating at like 9:15. Sometimes they may be there till 10:15. It's hard to like kind of say in a restaurant, get out.
I think you may want to make that a little later. You want to make that 11, because these are the hours we want everyone, all the patrons gone. I mean, I'd be okay with making it 11 rather than 10.
Okay, I'm gonna try to. That's fine. I'm just gonna.
You don't have to stay open till then.
No, we're not going to. We're gonna try to shut down by 10. I think because we're open the breakfast, lunch, and dinner, it's taxing. And, but
They have residents.
also I have an agreement with my landlord, with Sandy and, Steve Shore. That, you know, we would shut down by 10.
Yeah.
In the event there's a separate private party or something, I would go to them.
Keep it at 10? No,
I would keep it at
I
10.
think it's the
because-
suggestion
yeah,
we keep it at 10.
Because of
Yeah,
the
I
owners.
have an
The
agreement
owners
with them in my
upstairs.
lease.
Okay, and 9 o'clock on Sundays.
Yes,
12 on Friday and Saturday.
yes.
Yeah,
But
okay.
just
Well,
so you
let's-
understand, Alex, that means everyone has to be out by 10. Everyone.
Patrons, not.
Patrons, not the staff.
Right, patron, like there's no more food service or drink service past 10
Right,
o'clock.
but if somebody's, well, see, I didn't, if somebody is, finishing their dinner at 10 o'clock, because that's, I won't serve anybody any, I don't know how that works.
If it's okay with your landlords, because if you say 10 o'clock, they have to be, you have to kick them out at 10. But that's.
Right, that's why I was suggesting 11.
I don't, is Sandy on the,
Sandy
Because
might be
you
on.
mentioned that you were going to have a 9:15 service, so I'm not sure how you get to 10 o'clock and have
Yeah.
people out the door by 10 if you start serving at 9:15.
I
Well, why
haven't
don't
really,
we give 11 and then the landlord can duke it out if they have
Yeah.
issues?
Yeah,
Yeah, let's do that.
if she might be on, she's probably on. Yeah, but-
But again, it's between her.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, we don't have to be involved in that.
So then that,
So we're going to move it to 11, just to give you a buffer. And so that whenever your customers are still sitting at 10, you don't have to kick them out, right?
yeah, we will not serve anybody after 10 PM.
yeah, but even if they were there 10:15.
We will not, serve them.
They
you
have,
know-
I know it's not serving, but is it, they can't even
Just
just
put
sit
it down.
down, so.
What's
Okay.
that?
That's why, they can't even be sitting down at 10 PM. If you say, if it's over at 10, if it's 10:05, that's in violation, because they have to be, all patrons have to be out by 10 PM. Therefore, we're suggesting that for the liquor license itself, we say 11, that way if you have somebody at 10:05 or 10:15, even though you served them an hour ago and they're just slow, you're not in violation. You don't have to stay, you don't have to change anything about how you do it, except that this is just giving you a little bit of safety, a little buffer.
Yeah, we discussed that for 12 o'clock that's why we're doing this 10:30 last seating. So everybody's out by 12 on the weekends.
So it's
we'll
11?
if I'd like to take it to 11 and I'll discuss it with them.
Okay,
Okay,
that's all.
and then, but it's midnight on Friday and Saturday,
Yeah, and 9
Yeah.
on Sunday.
and 9 on
Yes.
Sundays.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Questions from the community or from the committee first? Alright, open up to the community.
Hector Vasquez from Fulton Fence Association. I've seen the location, it looks really, really nice, and we're very happy to see you guys opening up there. Since prior to that, there was a French restaurant, but you guys have really look like you improved the aesthetic. So we're very happy to have you as neighbors, so, you know, well.
Great, thanks.
Thank you.
Nelly, anybody else from the community? Their hand raised?
No, there's no one.
Motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Welcome.
Congratulations.
Good luck.
Thank you.
We're gonna
Thank
come
you.
by and talk about why a bib salad is $40, but
No, what's that? What was No.
There must be a typo on your menu.
Yeah, it's a typo. And that menu, there's so many, I had to put it up because everybody's going crazy on me, but there are some things.
They close at 10 and you can make extra money.
Oh, no, the menu that you have there was a draft.
It's a
I told
draft.
you that. The ones that I
It says
have,
draft on it.
yeah.
Mike,
Okay,
just
we're
to
good.
clarify, Mike, you approved of that one?
Oh, yeah, sorry, I went to turn the light on.
No, no worries.
Yeah,
All right.
yep.
Sounds great, thank you, and thanks for number 4, 10 Columbus Circle.
By the way, our salads are $19 to $27.
Good to know. Thanks so
Okay.
much.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Appreciate it.
All right, next one up, 10 Columbus Circle, 4th floor, Unit 4, Boss Events Inc.
Yeah, hi, Donald Bernstein with Brandon Voss on this application. I love that last one. I love to hear a community board trying to convince an applicant to open later. It's not happening. So Brandon's here. You know Brandon. He's been before you a couple of times in Hudson Yards, and we had a deal I think a year or two ago on 8th Avenue that you approved, but it fell through, so he had to find other space. This space on the 4th floor at 10 Columbus Circle was the Porterhouse Bar and Grill, operated there for a number of years. The owner of 10 Columbus Circle related is a partner in that. Porterhouse is leaving, or maybe they've left already, or they are closing. And what Brandon is going to do is, and he's been in this business for many years, do immersive holiday themed dinner theater, similar to what he's done in some of his other places. This is just going to be a 1-year seasonal license. His plan is to operate from the time he gets his temporary permit until probably Valentine's Day may be his last holiday event. I think the seasonal license maybe takes him to April. So that would be pretty much the end of it. The principal theater is going to be around Halloween, Christmas, and Valentine's Day. He will have 2 shows, and this is dinner theater, so it's not a theater. You sit down and have dinner at the tables and then experience the theater. It will be a show at 6 o'clock till 8 o'clock, and then a second show at 9 o'clock and ending at 11 o'clock. So the closing hour will be midnight, although people will probably be out by 11:30, but just in case there are stragglers, we're asking for midnight. It will be live music because the live music is part of the shows. There'll be 54 tables, 182 seats. He's going to have security guards, and that's the long and short of it. Brandon, anything you want to add?
I think you did beautifully, Don.
I'm sorry?
I think you've done beautifully.
Okay.
I just said this is the 5th year we've done it in the city. It was 3 years in Hudson Yards. We did the event last year on 22nd in an event space, 22nd and 11th. We used caterers licenses for that. So this will be our 5th year doing the holiday show.
Any questions from the committee?
No, I'm gonna go.
Carry your mic.
I'm ready.
Nothing from the committee, then, Nellie, it looks like we have Anita, who's raised their hand from the community. Anita, I think you've been moved over.
Pardon? Yeah, I know. I was trying to unmute and I don't know why I'm having problems here with the camera. Terrible. Anyway, I'm sorry. Something's wrong. I just want to ask if you're doing a dinner theater, particularly for the later hours, how are you going to take care of the people or even the earlier hours? Because there are some very fine restaurants on that floor. And you're suddenly going to have all these people spilling into the 4th floor. How will that be handled? And why wasn't there a community outreach? I wrote a letter in about that. I'm a little surprised that there wasn't a letter to the community asking people to please join in tonight to learn what this is about. So
I'll let Brandon answer about the people, but we said to all of the block associations, we sent an email on June 27th. To all of the block associations that we identified in the area, probably all the ones at Community Board 4. Yeah, actually the entire list, the entire CB list we sent to everybody. But Brandon, why don't you answer the question about the people coming up?
Yeah, we're on the 4th floor. We're partnering with Ascent Lounge, which is directly next door to us. We actually do some holiday parties together with them. And then they're taking over Center Bar, which is also up on the 4th floor. Which will, I think they're happy to have us actually, because we'll be feeding their bars before and after our shows. And then on the far side, the far south side is Per Se. But on our side, we're on
on your side, you have Masa, one of the most expensive restaurants in New York. So they don't mind. I'm really surprised.
Masa's on the third floor, I believe, or on the fourth floor. So our
They're
direct
on the
neighbor
fourth.
is
They're
are
on the
there?
fourth. Yeah, they're right.
No.
they're-
Our direct neighbor is a Scent Lounge. We've already been speaking with
Yes,
them.
Yes, I'm familiar with
I mean,
it.
and we've done, like I said, this is the 5th year. We always partner with Related on this event. We're historically in Hudson Yards, and now we're moving to the Columbus Circle. This is the space was no longer available in Hudson Yards. So Related, knows our operation really well. We partner with them on all sorts of activations throughout the year. They're confident that this is going to be a good relationship with their other tenants. I mean, we're in there for a matter of months. They don't want to upset their tenants who are in there for many, many years. So I think we should trust the landlord that they trust me after 5 years, that this will be something that's beneficial for the center as a whole. Will drive traffic to these restaurants and
I
bars
went
and lounges
to
that are in
one
there.
of the Secret Santa event that they had at the Hudson Yards, and I gotta tell you that the line was very well maintained. And it was monitored in a way that I would trust the applicant to go
Right,
forward.
but I'm just saying why there isn't, because you do have to get from the fourth floor down to the lobby and
There's
get
also
people
4
out.
elevators right
Yeah,
there.
right, but also, as you said, Related is the landlord for all of these establishments, they're not going to let someone
Right.
come
So
in. that is
and also I checked my emails. I did not receive an email. So
Are you on the block association? Are you
Half of
on
those
the
are
yes,
wrong.
list?
yes. I've received emails from everybody on the list tonight. So
All right, well, why don't you talk to Nelly about that and make sure you're on the list?
will
Okay.
do.
Okay, anyone else in the community?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Yeah.
All those in favor?
Yeah.
Aye.
Carrie? Steve, Carrie?
Aye, yes, here I am.
Fantastic, that passes unanimously, thank you.
Thank you,
All
everyone.
right.
Have a good night.
Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it. Have a good night.
Our next section, new Department of Transportation dining out sidewalk and roadway applications.
So I want to thank everybody, in addition to our usual stalwarts visiting the sites, Christine, Inga, Al, and Ted, we had a couple new volunteers, John was going to a few, and, yeah, Carrie was at everything you thought it would be.
I voted with Dave.
As well as Carrie, who's on remotely, so thank you for joining in, hope you weren't so horrified by the process that you'll continue to do them.
All right, number 5, 762 9th Avenue, Arriba.
Okay, so I went to this one. Valley is the applicant on? Is there anybody from,
I don't see them on.
so the floor plan is actually, the site plan is actually accurate in terms of distances and obstructions. The only issue I see is how they serve the tables on the side street.
This side street.
Whatever street that
58th
is.
Street.
Yeah, because there seems to be only 8 feet. Right? So it's hard to see how they serve those tables.
Because there's no space for
There's no
service.
space to serve, right? It's 8 feet to the tables, according to the plan. You can probably consider that. I don't know.
Right, this is accurate, there's no serving.
Right, so they have to come out here or there, but then how do they, even if they could serve this one from there, this one from there, I don't know how they get to
Right,
the others.
and does DOT still require 3 foot?
So one.
1 foot.
One.
But they don't
I
even
thought
have
it was
one.
smaller.
Yeah, I know, but-
Jacob.
but is this right, so what's the
Go sideways.
sidewalk?
With your
Well,
ribs.
10, well, wait, it should be enough space there. 12, 10, 8 feet, oh, it's from the
From
instructions,
yeah.
that's the
So
issue.
this is 8 feet. So, I mean, what you have to do is we have to say they don't have a serving aisle on the side and they need to drop 1, 2.
Well, or reduce those, I don't know, is
What do you
this,
mean review?
well, if the sidewalk is 12 feet. Right?
Yeah.
Does that say 12?
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Reduce the size of the tables. Right?
Yeah, I don't understand why those are so, well, I didn't understand.
No,
this.
because it's a two table, it's two.
2 feet,
Because
Two feet.
but that's not.
That doesn't,
that doesn't make.
what's, do they have a total sidewalk width?
So it's 12, yeah.
12 and 10 inches.
12, 10,
Well, almost 15.
12, 10 and 2 feet,
Well, then this,
then,
this
then
is
that's
wrong.
fine, this
Yeah.
is wrong,
Yeah, so they have a service sign.
right,
So should we just point that out?
Yeah.
That they need to, that the tables have to be assigned to allow for service sign.
yeah.
Okay,
I think the issue is just the diagonal here to the obstruction. That's what they're saying 8 feet is.
oh, okay.
So it seems like they have, this is really is 2 feet, then they have.
So they
10
need,
feet
so
here.
we want them to remove 2 tables.
Look, I mean,
Why? Because they can come this one, they can come this way.
No, I'm saying if they are 8 feet and there is no, I mean, I don't,
we're
it doesn't
doesn't
make sense
matter
to
if
me.
you serve here and it doesn't matter that.
Well, they can serve this way and avoid that obstruction. And they can serve these,
I would just let it go.
yeah.
I think the issue,
Well, let's see,
Did you talk to them?
No, or we,
Seems to be
right,
under
we
the
haven't, they're not communicating, or they don't realize they have to. I mean, they're not represented, so I found a lot of these small people don't. Small operators don't really
Right.
understand the process.
what's strange though is then on this side, this is saying 8 feet, so not just 8 feet from diagonal to the.
Yeah,
point.
that's what I'm saying, 8 is, and 2 is
Well, I,
10.
okay, I measured the sidewalk,
Oh.
it is 12.5 feet.
Okay, then if it's 12 and a half, we just need to say they need to correct the drawing,
Okay,
that's it.
And add a service,
yeah,
indicate service aisle.
Right,
Yeah.
well, and, you know, see, this is not 8, it's really 10, or yes, add the service on.
alright. Nellie, anyone from the community?
There's no one with a raised hand.
Anybody else? And since they didn't do a spit form, this will only be for the side BDOT outdoor dining, you know.
Are we going to tell them they need to do a?
Nellie's tried, Nellie has, and they just have not responded to it.
Huh.
Well, if they do it correctly, they will need to give us 30-day notice of their
Right.
alteration application. And at that point,
Okay.
we'll put them back on the agenda for the SLA part.
We're not going to vote for each of them, right?
This one, we're just gonna vote for DOT.
Oh, I just thought we were going to bundle them.
No, I think we are, we did do.
All right. Motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
All right,
Okay.
Fantastic, that passes. Next up is number 6, 756 9th Avenue, Rita's. The sidewalk application.
This was bad,
Is Nellie's the applicant here?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, fantastic.
Hey, John, before we get into the whole Sidewalk Cafe, how are you? I noticed you filled out the page about outdoor dining on private property. You don't have anything on private property, right? It's
No.
only this-
No,
Okay, so I'm just gonna cross out that page. That's page 6.
sorry about that.
You didn't need to fill that out.
Okay, sorry.
Good.
But
Ben?
This one is good. We were talking about possibly. Cause we had to take away a couple of tables from the other one that wasn't good. Maybe he can regain those here because he has a little bit more square footage. The traffic signal has a 10 feet. He can put 2 more tables there, on the corner side and still meet the 8 feet.
And you have like 10 feet from the ramp, from the pedestrian ramp?
Yes.
Yeah, you have 10 feet from the ramp and 8 feet from the traffic signal.
You could put 2 more, right?
so where would you put them?
The 2 that are in the left of the entrance, if you put them tight and make them 2
Yeah.
4 tops, he can fit 2 more tables in there.
Is he gonna make the 2 tops 4 or something?
No,
Yeah,
what
Well-
he's saying is that you're making them tighter.
He'll make it each
2
table
4 tops.
So the 2
Oh,
single will
okay.
be 2 4 tops,
Got it.
just to match the other side and is still in compliance.
That
okay.
Mhm.
John, you wanna send us a new diagram or you want me to just, now mark this one up.
if you don't mind marking it up.
Okay, so just so I'm clear, we're to the left of the entrance, we're making the left side of the entrance parallel to the right side.
Right,
Yeah.
right in the corner of 51st and 9th.
Yeah,
Yeah, so we're making those two tops on 9th, 4 tops with 4 seats each, 4 seats total.
Yeah, 4
Okay.
seats total, yes.
Yeah, okay.
but you're not going to have a starting line then, right?
No,
Beside of the 10 feet.
Mm,
I thought what you wanted to do was to squeeze the 2 tables to the right and add 2 tables to the left of that. Which does the same thing. But then you have the 10 feet clearance.
But
And the serving.
the 10-foot clearance that they have is just from the fire hydrant currently, it's not from the curb though.
the curb is further than 10 feet.
Yeah, but the fire hydrant is 10 feet. If you put those tables at 4 tops, then you don't have a serving line.
It'll be 8 feet.
Yes.
Right. Where if you squeeze those 2 tables a little bit to the right and you add two tops, then you have everything you want.
Okay.
Or could you fit
Right?
a table on 51st Street too?
No.
No,
You can't. But it would be, if it was at the corner, if you squeeze them to the right and add 2, you should be able to add 2
Okay. All right.
and still have the serving line.
Okay, I'll do that.
Okay,
Thank you.
So Christine, you're just saying squeeze these 2
yes,
and put in 4 tables
Right.
right in this space.
right,
Right there.
exactly,
Okay.
exactly,
All right, thank you, Christine.
sure.
Any
Can we do,
questions?
can we do B-side also, if you don't mind? Is that,
What, beside?
Yeah, well, let's finish this one, yeah, because
Right.
he's later on the agenda. Yeah, John, we usually try to find them, I think we didn't notice that this time.
Well, we'll finish this one and we can jump to.
So we have a motion?
Well, wait,
Well-
you asked about the community?
Have not asked about the community yet. Also, we do have a letter from HK 4954. That,
Good news.
John has been a very good neighbor, so we're in favor of his application. We only ask that all doors and windows be closed if any music or TVs are playing.
Did
okay?
you hear that?
Yes, I
John?
did. Yes, that's fine.
Nelly, any members of the community with their hand up?
No, there's no one.
What?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Fantastic, that passes.
So now we're gonna,
You want to do B?
yeah, we're gonna do agenda item 12.
Alright.
This is where Ted brought the bad news.
Yeah.
So this is 370 West 51st Street, beside Pizza Bar.
So what we found out is that the 2 board tops on the left can have enough room if he removes the trash receptacle holder that is next to the building, which it belongs to him. So that would give enough space, but the board top to the right of the entrance, we have to chop that table to only 2 because there's just not enough room. With 8 foot from the.
So there would just be 1 table on the right side
Right,
against the
Yes.
wall.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Makes
And
sense.
John, you didn't circle any music on the form. I assume you have background music there?
Yes.
Okay. I'll add that.
Thank you, Frank.
And again, John, I'll just, we'll just cross this out on the form we have, unless you want to do a new site plan.
Okay.
Okay, so you're not gonna give us a new one, you just want us to mark this one up? Is that all right?
I'm sorry?
You just want us to mark this one up, you don't want
Yeah,
us to submit.
Yes, please.
Okay, we can do that.
Alright, any other questions from the committee? Anybody online, Nelly?
There's no one.
Motion. Session, all those in favor?
All right.
Alright,
Okay, so
Thank
one
you,
thing,
guys.
yeah, So one thing, we should take another vote on that because John did do a STIP form for the SOA part, so we can vote on that as well for those two.
Motion.
Second, yes. All those in favor? All right. That passes as well.
Okay,
All right, we are going back to number 7.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
you wanna come?
Number 7 is 753 9th Avenue, Atlas Social Sidewalk application.
Oh, that's a good one.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. Hello. Good evening.
Oh, got a whole crowd here.
Yes, the three of us are here.
Okay, so this is one I visited. There were 2 issues, one of which we learned something new about how DOT is interpreting their own rules. This is a slanted sidewalk, so if you see on the floor plan, they're proposing using a wooden platform. The DOT rules say sidewalk cafes cannot have flooring or platforms. However, we learned from the applicant, and Christine confirmed this with DOT, that if the sidewalk is slanted more than 8 degrees or more, they will allow platforms to level it up. So the platform here is okay with the DOT.
Right.
And then the issue I raised when I was measuring, it looked like, although the dimensions on the floor plan show 8 feet from a standpipe to the right of the entrance, I'm not sure you can have a full 8-foot platform there with 5-foot distance from the standpipe. Did you gentlemen have a chance to look at this, or?
Yeah, we measured it after we spoke earlier today. And we measured 5 feet 3 inches. I guess it depends on whether the platform is placed. If it's too close to the door, that's when the 5 feet.
As long as you know that, and keep the 5 feet clear when you build the platform, that'll be fine.
Correct. Right. Yes, we'll make sure that that's the case.
I still have a question. This platform now is not accessible for ADA people. DOT doesn't care.
No, the ADA entrance is in the main entrance, which is next to the platform.
But you can't then go from the inside to the sidewalk cafe.
You can go through the inside with a wheelchair into the bar, turn around and go into that platform.
The platform has rails anyway on the sides, so nobody can step. We're using a rope right now to rope off the platform.
That's not my question.
If someone with a wheelchair were to come in and wanted to sit on the platform, they'd have to enter, it sounds like they'd have to enter the main space. The one side would be able to access the platform via the double doors there.
Yes,
Sorry.
of course. Yeah.
Okay.
Because it looked like on the plan, the double doors were higher than the platform.
The platform is the same level.
No, it's the same level.
The floor of the bar.
They are?
Yeah.
Okay. Boy, I hate this platform.
And are they gonna keep the
I think
doors closed or use it like a big?
Right, so what are you going to do in the winter?
Nothing. I mean,
Well,
this is just for
You're supposed to, put your furniture inside.
They remove
the
them.
platforms are removable. They're not there. We put them out every day when we open, and
But
then
the platform, you don't. The platform
No, he
stays
puts
there.
the platform inside.
The
when they
platform
close.
the platform gets removed and installed daily.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's great.
Thank you.
16 inches, it's very high.
Any other comments?
Yeah, I had a question about the stipulation form you filled out. You said on type of license that it was a new license. But I believe you're actually just going to be seeking an alteration, right?
Yeah.
Your license. All right, so I'm gonna change the form and make that alteration.
Oh, thank you, appreciate it. Yeah.
Yeah. And again, you will have to, once you get approval of from the DOT, then have to file with the SLA to alter your liquor license and give notice to the community board. Right?
Okay, right,
Okay.
yes.
That's all set out pretty clearly on the SLA's website.
Great.
Anything else from the committee? Nellie, anybody online?
There's no one with a raised hand.
And we did get an email from the HK, the 4954 Block Alliance saying they did communicate their concerns by email, and the applicants agreed to close the sidewalk at 10 and 11 and keep the doors and windows closed when there's music inside.
Correct. Yes.
All right. I would entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, all those abstaining or voting no?
And again, that'll be for both the DOT and the SLA.
Right, you already have.
Yes, sorry.
All right. We are moving on. That passes. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
Number 8, 745 9th Avenue. Susan?
We went to see that one.
Yeah, so that one is just a little bit shy of the 10 feet and they have a carpet. So the carpet needs to go back. And then there's a wooden platform on the right, sort of like a box. That also needs to be shortened too.
Well, is this a tilted sidewalk? Is that what it is?
Well, that's a planter.
Oh, that's a plant? Oh, I was looking at the photo. This thing isn't theirs.
It's like a blue box.
So that was
Blue box,
to the
right?
right of the blue
The
box.
planter, right?
But to the right of the.
That needs to be removed, right?
Yeah, I mean, or at least shortened by a foot.
Yeah, but, and then the carpet is illegal. They can't have a carpet
Yeah. Nowadays, the.
for a DOT.
I don't, like throughout the whole thing, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, but
Yeah,
it
yeah.
definitely extends further than.
Right, it
No,
makes
but-
it look like it's bigger than it should
But
be.
it's not, they are not supposed to have a carpet, period.
Oh, so you can't have any kind
No,
of stuff.
or a floor.
So this, I think, is another applicant that didn't acknowledge Nellie's email. Nellie, is anyone here from the applicant?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I was on the phone with the desk downstairs. Which application are we on?
Kazusa, 745 9th Avenue.
I believe,
short, like a.
yes, the applicant is here. I have to move them over. Give me 1 second.
Yeah.
That street is sidewalk is so narrow now. So you're like.
No.
Anything else?
Hi there.
Hey, Dale's actually right next to me. Do we want to come here?
Well, here's the second one.
Let's start that. You gotta step in so you. Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
So did you hear the comments Ted was making, who went and Ted and Thomas who went and visited this?
Right, I heard the comments made.
So you have to keep 10 feet of the sidewalk clear.
Right.
And which is what you show on the map, but that means you need to, first of all, you can't have the carpeting at all.
Okay, is there any alternatives?
No.
The rules basically say nothing on the sidewalk,
The DOT rule.
not ours.
Okay.
And then the container, the planter needs to be removed or shortened by what, one foot? The blue planter,
Right.
you need to shorten that by 1 foot or just remove it or change it.
You're talking about the plant?
Yeah,
No.
the blue planter.
The blue
Oh,
box.
the blue thing, okay.
Right.
It
So you
sticks
want us
out
to
one
shorten it?
foot,
Yes,
1 foot too far out.
Okay, and you
Yeah,
want
yeah.
us then essentially to move everything back 1 foot.
yes.
Right, yeah,
Okay.
you need to keep 10 feet of the sidewalk completely clear of everything.
Right.
Including the planter.
And then the plants need to be inside the sidewalk cafe, not
Upstairs,
outside.
upstairs in the neighboring place.
Yeah.
I think it might be the neighboring place. Is that, do you have any, plants on the curbside?
No, there's nothing we occupy on the curbside.
Yeah, I think we looked at the photos, looks
Yeah.
like it's probably.
Yeah, right. So
Okay.
that's it.
All right, so you make those changes?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so, you need to, you need to fill out a new stipulation form, which I think Nellie, did you send that to them?
Yes, I did send it to them. I can send it again.
Okay, you're gonna have to apply to the state liquor authority, to extend your liquor license to the Sidewalk Cafe.
Okay.
And when you do that, you're gonna have to give us notice. So we're gonna ask you to fill out this form and come back, when you do that.
Okay, we actually, we have the form and I have it by email. I can send it over now.
What do you have?
Manhattan Community Board, I think something Nelly sent to us.
Yeah. Well, at this point, I think we'll wait until you actually apply to the SLA, and we'll have you come back and talk about that.
Okay, sounds good.
So what we'll be voting on tonight is the Sidewalk Cafe, but not the change to liquor license.
All right, I just have a general question. Sorry, I'm having double audio. So we're gonna go through SLA first and then contact you guys, correct?
Well, the way it works is you wait to get approval from the DOT. And when you do that, you can file with the SLA, but you then have to give us notice. There's a form, and Nellie will help you with this if you have any questions. There's a specific form you file that you send to the community board saying you're filing with the SLA. So you do those two things together.
Okay, got it, understood. Last question. So when I submitted the application, or when we submitted the application, I expressed concern to ask if private property had anything to do with this application. Like, what if we're operating under private property lines or within that boundary?
The private property is usually when you're using a rear yard or a rooftop. I think your whole Sidewalk Cafe is all on the public sidewalk, right?
Right, so it's the frontage in front of the restaurant.
Yeah, but it's on the sidewalk, it's not,
Right.
so you.
Unless their lease says it's private property, which is.
No,
it's not.
It doesn't. So your application for the Sidewalk Cafe doesn't have anything to do with private property. It's completely, it's completely with the Department of Transportation.
All right, sounds good.
Okay, looks like we have, now it looks like there's, someone with their hand up.
Yeah, we're gonna shorten it by 1 foot.
Nellie, move the person over.
David, if you want to speak, you have to accept being promoted. Do you wish to speak? Please raise your hand again.
David, you need to accept Nellie's invitation to be moved over. And successfully moved over to sign mute. Or of course. David, I see
David,
the
you
moved
can unmute
over.
now.
There you go. David, you've unmuted, go ahead. David, if you've unmuted, but we can't hear you if you're speaking.
Do you guys need to hear from me?
You? Yeah, was that you?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, we have a member of the community who wants to speak, but I think we're having some technical issues.
Sure.
David, if you're trying to speak, we can't hear you. David, can you do this? If you are trying to speak, could you mute again, just so that we have a signal that you're trying to speak? And that you hear us? David, go ahead.
Sorry. Are you guys trying to communicate with us?
No, so just this David.
Oh, okay.
Duran. David, if you've unmuted, can you mute? Oh, perfect, okay, you are trying to communicate with us. Unfortunately, we cannot hear you. So unmute them. Try unmuting again, let's see what that does.
Now speak.
Now speak with it.
Yeah.
Oh, come back, there you go, alright, let's see.
Speak.
Yeah, you're trying to speak to us, we can't hear you. David, on the lower left-hand corner of your screen, there should be an audio image, and if you click the arrow next to the little microphone, if you can select which microphone you want to use.
Like that.
So.
Card, it does it all.
Don't
That's
Zoom
card.
That's the microphone. So David, perhaps this is on a different setting, a different microphone. So you try, if you have another option, like your speakers that are built into your computer. Or if you have headphones in, so just make sure you have the correct microphone selected, maybe try changing it.
No chat option. You'll have to just call Nelly.
Yeah.
Okay, it's David, do you wanna give them his phone number to?
Not over the internet, no. Maybe Nelly can call him.
Oh, she doesn't have his number. I think we don't know who he is.
Do we wanna give him her email address?
But start with.
Hello? Oh, David, looks like you've come back, we get two of you now. Oh, you're connecting to audio.
Ah, progress. Oh, but so now do unmute.
Unmute David, wherever you just connected. David, what we're seeing on our end is that there are two of you here, if you're able to see. This one was just saying that it was connecting to audio, so if you can try to mute this one and unmute this one, that perhaps is gonna work.
Maybe select it and press ask to
Sign off and
unmute,
go back in.
so we can.
Oh, that's a good idea.
There we go. Here we go. Okay, you wanna try speaking, David? Nothing. All right, David, unfortunately, I think we're gonna need to move on. You're welcome to email Nelly Gonzalez at the MCB4 office. But I think unfortunately, we're gonna have to move on.
She can relay the question if he has a question.
Yeah, if you're able to email her now. Then she can relay the question, otherwise if it's another concern. We're happy to address it offline.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other community members who want to speak?
There's no one else.
Okay. I.
Motion.
And this is only for the DOT part.
Okay.
All those in
Second.
favor?
Okay.
You, sorry, very Mike, perfect, thank you. Okay, that passes. Thank you, everybody. Moving on to item number 9, this is 683 9th Avenue. UT 47 Kitchens.
Yeah, I looked at this and you know, it's basically, okay, it's tight on the side street, but by DOT rules and the 1 foot service aisle, it does work. And again, this is someone who did not acknowledge Nellie's email. Nellie, is there anyone from UT 47 Kitchener?
I am not seeing anyone.
Okay, if anyone is here about UT 47 Kitchen 6839, would you raise your hand, please? Christine, I don't think you saw anything on this one, did you?
No, there is a parking sign that obviously is reducing the fee of pass, but it's nearly outside of the
Yeah,
cafe,
yeah.
so that wouldn't work.
Right.
Okay. All right, so that's, are we doing the motion?
But Nellie, anyone from,
The community,
There's no one with a raised hand.
will entertain a motion.
Motion,
Those in favor?
yes.
All right, that passes. Thank you, everybody. Moving on to number 10, this is 596 10th Avenue, Mr. Biggs Bar and Grill.
all right, this one I actually visited 3 times this afternoon with the owner and half his staff. Again, there was some confusion, there was some confusion with the DOT themselves about how wide the clear path had to be, which we cleared up, it's 10 feet. But what we were able to work out this afternoon is a change to the corner, which I think freed things up a lot. So on the corner on the 10th Avenue side, as you'll see, on the floor plan, they have a 4 top and 3 2 tops. What they've agreed is to have only 1 3 top, so there'd be a big table with 3 seats on each side, next to the entrance there.
So 6 seats,
6 seats at a table for 6.
the table, which is a 4 now.
Yeah, they're basically pushing that table in.
Yes,
And then they're gonna eliminate the 2 right on the corner.
oh, the 3, there are 3 tables.
Well,
Oh, no, they are moving it in.
They're moving 1 in,
I got it.
eliminating the other
Right.
2, which frees up the spot.
And that's it.
And then everything else now works. Rosa, are you there? Nellie, is Rosa on?
She was on. I don't know what happened. I think she got disconnected.
Okay. The only thing I wanted to flag is they're asking to be open till midnight, which is the maximum time allowed by, the DOT rules. And I believe this is the way they operated under the DCA as well. But again, we typically ask people to close to 10 and 11. So I don't know what people's feelings are about that.
Well, the thing is that, yeah, the thing is that they have open doors and windows all the time.
Okay.
With tremendous amount of music, etc.
Okay.
So that's
That's
an
a
issue.
bigger problem.
That's a bigger problem, I think.
All right, I was not aware of that, so
Right. Yeah,
we can mention that to them. If they say they're gonna behave on that, do you, we okay with the midnight?
we don't believe it, but that's,
I know.
yeah,
Well,
it's.
do you wanna wait till Rose is back?
I mean,
Rose-
we can say 11 and then DOT is going to turn it
Yeah.
to 12.
Right, well, except they've done their SIP form. So,
Oh.
so the question is, Rosa?
They had 12 before, right?
It's just like the end of,
They had 12 with their Sidewalk Cafe before COVID.
yeah, they have been there forever.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
Rosa, can you hear us?
She's.
Yeah, I can hear you. For whatever reason, it's coming in like staticky a little bit.
Okay, we can hear you now.
Okay.
So Rosa, Christine was saying that they keep the doors and windows open all the time with loud music blaring out. Did you talk to them about that?
I will.
And then what we were discussing was they want to be open until midnight, correct?
Yes, those are the hours they've always had. Yep.
I would be okay with them keeping midnight just because it's been that way forever. The neighbors are probably used to the noise at this point, if there is any, so.
Yeah.
I would just let them have it.
Okay, and Rosa, I'll send you a markup of the plan. You know, that's what I agreed with your client this afternoon. Okay,
She can't hear us.
can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you and everything was coming in fine before, but now it's coming in like muffled in and out a little bit.
Frank said, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, but much better.
Frank said he'll send you a revised plan and sorry, Frank, I forgot what else you said.
No, that's it, yeah.
Yeah, so he'll be sending you, you know, what we just all agreed to and his notes on what he saw
Oh, on
when he
the
visited
on the
site.
layout?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Motion.
Second.
Well,
Oh, wait.
do we have anybody from the community?
There's no one with the raised hand.
Okay. Motion.
Second.
All those in favor? All right, that passes. Thank you.
Excuse me, can we do the other one at the same time? Because it's a little further
Yeah,
down.
we did that for John Dempsey, so.
Did the other vote for the SLA?
Oh, yeah, so, or was that, yeah, so we'll do a second vote for the SLA since they did a SID for.
Right.
Your motion?
Yes.
Motion.
All those in favor?
Yes.
Like, you good with this one again? Just with the perfect, thank you. That one
Thank
is
you. Huh?
13.
14, okay.
Yeah, that was
Let's
13.
get 13.
All right,
That
thank you.
is-
Have a
Yeah, no worries, we're gonna skip ahead to 350 West 49th Street.
yes.
So we went to visit, Tom and I went to visit, and we asked them to remove 3 tables on 9th Avenue and suggest that they add 2 tables on 49th Street. And we exchanged emails and everything seems to be happy with that.
Is this the new plan?
We'll see. Yes.
Okay.
This is the new plan.
And Christine, this is another one, that is asking for it to be open until midnight. Now the Sidewalk Cafe.
This one has not been open for a long time. This is a recent one.
No, it's been there forever as well. So I want to say
No,
that.
not forever.
Huh?
Mickey has not been, he has not been there forever. I mean,
Mickey's
10 years.
Lemonades?
10 years, right?
No, I looked it up. It has to be.
10 years.
No, it's more than 10 years
The
because I
only-
looked it up too. So Mickey's Lanes has been there. I literally just looked it up. I want to say it's been there about 13, 14 years already.
The only concern I have is that when we start to do exception, then everybody on the avenue is going to come and want to do the exception. That's my only concern otherwise. And that's another one which is, you know, windows and doors open and loud.
We received 2 emails from block associations mentioning the windows and doors, but also they mentioned that they've spoken with Rosa and that that Rosa promised that the windows and doors would be closed when music is played.
Yes, and I will have that conversation with them again.
The HK 4954 Block Alliance would like to see an 11 p.m. closing.
We go with them.
I would.
And it's just the other thing for the community, they pointed out, I believe there's been some dispute or encroachment between Mickey's Plains and the Verse Bar next door over sidewalk turf. So again, the rules now are very clear that they can only have tables in front of their own establishment.
Yes, and when I did meet with Elke Fears and the HK 5051, Elke Fears had also mentioned about the spillover, but she's also mentioned that they since corrected it, you know, way before that.
Okay.
They had worked with her and spoke with her about it.
Okay, so I think that leaves us with the hours.
Right, I just make a motion for 11 o'clock.
Second.
Oh, wait, so,
What?
well, it's not a motion for 11 o'clock. We have to, I guess what we have to do is wait till they file for an alteration. If that, Rosa, will you agree to, will they agree to close the Sidewalk Cafe at 11? No,
I think there's
they don't-
something with the I think there's something with the microphone in the office.
Carrie.
Yeah, will they agree to close the Sidewalk Cafe at 11 o'clock instead of 12?
No, they're not going to agree to that. They've been operating this cafe again for over a decade. They've maintained this hour until midnight. That was explained at the block
So
association meetings.
If you're having trouble hearing the committee conversation, the concern is the 12 o'clock opening. There are 2 letters from block associations that are against at 12 o'clock. They're okay with 11. So this will be an issue.
And I understand that. But again, we're back here now because COVID and everything else changed the rules. But they've always been operating until midnight. That's basically making them change and amend their method of operation.
Okay,
I
thank
think
you.
that is the case. I remember this discussion with the DCA Sidewalk Cafe that they wouldn't agree to our hours at the time.
What about, stop serving outside at 11 o'clock?
What about stop serving outside at 11 o'clock?
I can ask them that question.
So not vacancy by 11, but no serving after 11.
I have to pose that question to them and make sure it's okay.
For us, so why don't we hold off on the SLA piece, the alteration application? You haven't filed.
This microphone.
I'll tell you.
Okay, thank you. Sorry.
Yeah, I think other people, Carrie, you can hear us okay, right?
Completely fine.
Okay, so what I'm suggesting, and I'll do it in pieces so you can relay it, that we hold off tonight on voting on the SLA alteration and wait until Rosa files a 30-day notice and then have them come back and be prepared to discuss this issue.
So the recommendation is to hold off on filing with the SLA application for 30 days and then come back.
Sorry, Carrie. We won't vote on it tonight. We won't vote on the alteration application tonight. And Rosa has to file with the SLA for an alteration and give us 30-day notice. And when we get that, we'll have them come back.
Okay, so we're going to hold off voting for tonight. You will file with SLA and then give us 30-day notice and then come back.
Yeah, but we're not here for an alteration application. We're here for the cafe with DOT.
Yeah, the cafe, we are voting on the cafe today.
So we will vote on the cafe.
Oh, okay, thank you.
And
but you will have to file for an alteration with the SLA.
you'll still have to file for an alteration with the SLA. Is that because of the hour change, Frank?
No.
It's because
I think he's thinking because to include the cafe, but the cafe.
It's an alteration.
Yep, so the outdoor space has always been included with this liquor license application since day one. And the liquor authority is not making, from my understanding, making anybody file a new alteration application
Frank
to
is
include
saying
the
no.
outdoor cafe.
Okay, that is not our understanding. And if you look on the SLA website, it seems pretty clear that under the DOT, anyone getting licensed under the DOT program has to file for an alteration.
Anyone getting a license under the DOT program has to file for an SLA alteration.
Just ask Rosa to call me tomorrow and if we can go through
Frank's
it.
suggesting that you call Frank tomorrow and he'll
Okay,
explain.
that sounds good. I really don't know what's going on with his microphone.
Yes, I did not study interpreter skills, but
English to English.
English to English. I'm trying, but
trying.
it's still kind of math to English, but yeah.
It's
All
okay.
right, so let's
All right, we'll
take
talk. We'll talk, Frank. Yeah.
But tonight we'll be taking a vote on the DOT.
Yes.
Sidewalk. Yeah.
And that is the new plans that Christine and Thomas worked out.
But maintaining a midnight close.
Well, we're not gonna get anywhere with DOT.
Yeah, we are not taking a position on
Yeah,
that.
DOT has said it's made clear they won't change that.
Yeah. Motion.
So we have to-
I'm sorry. What was that about the 12 o'clock? Because it was coming in a little muffled.
No, we were just trying to, okay.
we would like you to close at 11 o'clock because that's what we try to do across the board, and DOT will probably override us.
Okay. All right. That's pretty much the gist of it. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Right?
Do we have anybody from the community?
There's no one.
Motion. Second? All in favor? All right.
All right. Thank you. Have a good evening.
All right, number 14, no, we're gonna go back. Yeah. Number 11.
Wendy, Frank, the gentleman, David, is the owner for Ariba Reba. He's on now and he says has his microphone working.
Well, wait, didn't we? We approved it already. We approved it without any changes, right? Well, we should let him talk, because we were wondering how he's gonna serve the tables, right?
All right, can you bring him over now?
I'm moving him over now.
Thank you.
Why did we bury them? Oh, here we go.
Like, do you miss not meeting somewhere else where you have to go pick up all these files and carry them? Do you remember that? When you had to, like, he came in with his big pile, and he had to take them back with him and stuff?
Those files haven't been seen.
David?
Yes.
There you go.
Hi. Hi.
Hi, David.
I'll figure it out.
Okay.
I'm on an iPhone and then I'm on the computer. That's how I figure this out. So did I mishear you, or you say that you already voted on it?
Well, we already did, but we were wondering about how you were gonna, whether you had enough service aisle on the 51st Street side. Because the measurements are a little confusing.
We are basically up to park as far as space and everything. We have two all the way. We don't have a hydrant on 51st Street anymore. So we have basically 10 feet across the board.
Yeah, well, you only need 8 feet on 51st Street.
Right, but I'm saying we have that much. We're not gonna go too crazy with anything. We just try to just be operating as we always do.
Let me tell you.
Yeah, please.
So where we got confused, David, is that your sidewalk is 12 feet, right?
Yes.
And your tables are 2 feet, right?
Right.
So 12 minus 2 is 10 feet. And that gives you enough space to have a serving aisle of 2 feet and then 8 feet to go to the curb. And your drawing doesn't show that. Your drawing shows that you have 8 feet and 2 feet. So you may want to draw a line showing that you have a serving line.
So submit a drawing that show you that we have the space required by the DOT and by the community board.
Yeah.
Or just send you. Or just send
show
you.
that there is a serving aisle, because right now you don't show it and you have enough space to put it in.
Right, we don't need it because we're not using anything beyond that. We're not using anything beyond the wall. So the tables are to the wall, and then we don't have to have an aisle for people to walk because we're giving all that space as it is.
No, you have to serve the table and you have to be on the sidewalk to serve the table, right?
Inside the building.
That is
Okay.
correct. That is correct. But we don't. So even if we are.
And that's the piece which is not shown on your drawing on 51st Street. So if you could add that on 51st Street on the drawing, that would be great.
Okay, I'll talk to the architect to withdraw that and submit a. But we are the same as always, and we don't need the aisle because we don't have to serve anybody beyond like it was when the pandemic was going on. That we had tables on both sides of the sidewalk, plus the street sides. We only have the tables against the wall, and even if the server is is talking to the customers, they're not interfering with the walkway.
Well,
But I
Okay.
understand what you're saying. You're saying we need a better drawing.
Yeah, but David, you're also gonna have to put up, under the new rules, you need a divider showing where your sidewalk cafe ends. And the servers are gonna have to
You're saying we need those little fabric made things that,
Yes, yes,
You just
okay.
gotta do it.
yes,
and then your servers have to be
within.
within the area between your restaurant and the divider. They have to serve, they can't serve from the public sidewalk, they have to serve from within the
But
cafe.
the good news is you have the space to do it.
Yeah.
You just have
We
to draw
do,
it.
we do. We just opted not to because we thought that by having these things out there was just more attractive to, the pedestrian and stuff like that. But we have them, so we just had to bring them in.
Yes.
So can you get us a new drawing by, when's the full board? Can you get it by a week from today, a new drawing?
A week from today?
Yeah.
I'm sure we can. Yeah, I don't think there's any holidays in between right now. Can it be
Okay.
just any drawing? Do I have to deal with the architect for this, or can I send you photos?
No, well, we need something on a plan. You could mark up the plan if you like. I mean, you can do it by hand if you want. We just wanna see how the sidewalk's gonna be divided up with the service on it.
That's if we're using the service aisle. You say, or you're saying that the
You
program.
have to use, you have
Got
to use
it.
the.
Got it.
service
I
line.
understand. I understand that. Okay. So are we basically voting on this today?
We already did.
We already voted on it and we were gonna raise this with the DOT, but if you give us a drawing with the service aisle, we'll be okay with it.
Okay, I would definitely do that.
Okay, and if you have any questions, email Nellie at the board office and she'll either help you or put her in touch with, or put you in touch with me.
Sounds like a good deal there.
Okay.
Okay, thank you guys, and I'm sorry for all the mishaps.
All right. You're next.
All right.
All right, number 11, 435 West 31st Street, Bluestone Lane.
I think this was a received.
This is me, I didn't visit it because I know the place and there's a huge sidewalk. They are using less than half of it, so we know it's good.
The applicant here.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Hi. So I had a question. You filled out a new SIP form, which we appreciate. But I had a question about your hours on page 2. Do you have the form with you?
Yeah, we have it up.
So as I read that, you have 7 to 16. So I assume that's
16 is 4 p.m.
Yeah, that's 4
p.m.
Is that really when you're closing?
Yes. We're a daytime cafe, so we shut down at 4 o'clock every day.
Okay, so you only want the liquor license till 4 p.m.
Yep, perfect.
Okay. And do you have any music inside?
Inside, just background noise, very low.
Okay,
Ambient
so
background noise.
I'm gonna circle that because that didn't get circled on the form. And then you don't have any music outside, right?
Nope, no music outside.
Okay. Oh, but if you go to page 7 of the form. You have that there?
Yes.
So about halfway down, there's a question that says, will there be amplified music? And you wrote comment, no amps music played, just speakers. I was wondering what you meant by just speakers.
So it's literally just speakers that you would mount like in a restaurant, like into the ceiling, like no
This is-
subwoofers,
this-
anything.
This is background music.
This page is about outside.
Oh.
Okay, so there's nothing outside. No music
There's
outside.
nothing
Period.
outside. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna say, you won't, I'm gonna cross that out and put, you're not gonna have music outside.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Somebody from the community room?
There's no one.
Motion.
All those in favor? Fantastic, approved.
Thank you.
Awesome.
right.
Thank you all.
Thank
Have a
you.
good night.
David. All right, moving on to number 14, 176 8th Avenue, Lulu.
Hey, Terry, I think this is one you looked at, right?
Yes. Hi. I wish I hadn't. So the first thing about I think that's important is that the drawing is not accurate to what exists, is not accurate to what was submitted in the application. This is so two things, the 8th Avenue, 2 tables, the first part of it are fine, no problem. The side street, which is 19th Street, is a very narrow sidewalk with multiple obstructions. When we went to visit, there were two tops all the way down. Sometimes a 4-top that was sort of turned diagonally towards the sidewalk, or rather perpendicular to the sidewalk. Nothing cleared 8 feet. The sidewalk itself is 9 feet from the building, the curb to the building. So I feel really badly about this. And
Yeah, because their plan shows the sidewalk is 8 plus 4 foot 8.
yeah, we saw, you know, there's also no sidewalk perimeter or barrier. So there's no extra foot or perimeter at all, neither on the edges or the side street. So there's no service aisle.
But if the sidewalk is only 9 feet total,
That is what we measured. I'm happy to go back and do it again, but
I think the applicant's here, so we can.
yeah, it's very narrow. We had somebody pass by who was actually using a walker, which was oddly coincidental, and it's a 1-person passway. Like it's a single file pass. My husband just said for sure. So the other things are, there are 3 obstructions. There's a fire hydrant, which clears 6.5 feet. There's a street sign, which is 5.5 feet. And this is from like the table, not from a perimeter or with a serving aisle. And there's a bike rack, which is 5.5 feet, which I'm not sure what that's meant to be, but like one of those, you know, stuck in the sidewalk, half oval shape bike racks. So it's a tough one. And I would love to help you guys make it work. You also have your 2 sheds on the street, which we also measured a couple months ago. I think Alan and I did, which were perfectly fine. So that makes it even feel tighter. Sorry, did someone say something to us?
No,
Oh, okay, sorry.
So can I speak?
Yes, please.
I mean, we, recently, we had our old setup, to be honest, there is a mistake in our end. I overlooked, there's few tables that, after you came that day, I was there and I saw you, I met you.
Yes.
I ended up by going back there and actually pulling all the tables and restructuring it to see how it can be set up. There is 3 rows of 4 tops that we can have, 4 rows actually, 4 tops that will still have the clearance to the sidewalk. And then we have to do all 2 tops all the way down to the end. And then we have 1 4-top. By this way, if I measure from the fire hazard, from the fire extinguisher, if I measure from the bike rack, it will work. So, I did all the measurement. I readjusted all the seating based on this. I took all the measurement. I think there is, we had people come in from the block association to see it as well. And I don't think there was any obstruction. I'm a family guy too, and I have my wife, and we have two kids, and my recent one was born a year and a half ago. So my wife, when she comes with a stroller, I saw that, and based on this, I notice where it can be there sometimes of the obstructions. I can imagine if somebody in a wheelchair, and I remember the gentleman that was walking on a walker that day as well. But I can assure you right now, we made adjustment based on the plans that we provided, and there is plenty of space, and this is how we're willing to continue with it. Prior to the pandemic, the plans that we had was approved based on the way you came and saw it. Now that this was brought to my attention and I had to look at it in a different way, we made the adjustment based on the plans that we have, which is I'm happy with.
Can I ask you, are the plans that you adjusted?
But I'm okay with that.
Apologies. Are the plans that you adjusted the
I'm sorry?
current application that we have? Are the
Yes.
plans as you adjusted them, the current applications, like the photographs that are there now? Because the tables need to be turned, if it fits at all, the tables need to be turned. Right now you have the tables this way to the sidewalk, and you can't push out a chair or a chair. Like, there's no way to fit there. So
It's
they
not.
have to be turned.
No, they are turned.
Wait, I have a
What I'm
question.
trying to say,
sorry, I
they're
have a
sitting.
question. Oh.
So I think we need
Sure.
I think we need a new plan. That's what I think. And
to know.
Wait a minute, I don't think we need a new plan. You said the sidewalk is 8 feet.
9
Nine.
feet.
9 feet.
It's
A
not.
9 feet sidewalk cannot take a sidewalk cafe with the new rules. That doesn't work. We don't need a plan.
You're
We don't need
breaking up.
anything.
But the plans, whatever plans,
No, we don't need a plan.
whatever
It
plans it
just
is,
doesn't work. If you have a sidewalk
Whatever
of 9 feet,
it is.
it does not work.
I'm happy to go back and measure
sorry?
again to make sure that we were correct.
I'll go with you.
Okay, it's because
Alan
the
and
thing
I-
is, you can't, I mean, if there's a way to turn, I would love to make this work for you. I really would, but if there's a way to turn the tables to be perpendicular or parallel to the building, not sticking out towards the sidewalk where the chairs get pushed out, and we can
They're
find
not.
8 feet somewhere, then that would be amazing, with
They
the
are-
perimeter and a serving aisle.
We are the way you are just saying right now, the chairs are not pushing out to the sidewalk. They're all sitting basically, facing like, so the guests will be
Facing
sitting.
8th
right.
Avenue and 9th Ave and 7th
Their
Avenue.
back is gonna be to 8th Avenue and back to 7th Avenue, exactly. That's how it is.
Wait,
But the challenge, I think,
right.
that's still 2 feet, so if a standard table plus if you have tried a service aisle, like that's 2 feet. If it's only a 9-foot sidewalk, that only allows 7 feet of clearance, which does not comply with the
And
DOT.
The drawings and measurements as they exist in our document right now are incredibly inaccurate, like to the obstructions, they say 8 feet, that is absolutely inaccurate. So I think we need to try this again somehow.
What we need is to go back and measure and see whether it's a 9 feet or not. And if it's 9 feet, then we don't need to do anything because the DOT is going to deny it. There's nothing, we are not denying it. We don't need to feel bad about it. These are the rules and the DOT is going to deny it. So
The DOT approved the plans, and I think we should just send somebody to take measurement.
But the plans are not accurate. The plans are not correct. There's a 5.5 foot clearance from an edge of a table without a service aisle or a barrier to a fire hydrant. That is not okay.
I would invite you to come there and take measurement and see it. And if you feel that this is, any way out of line, we've been there for 5 years. We never had any issues. You would never hear that we had fights outside, complaints, or drunk people, or people out, or noise complaints.
It's
We
just simple
had
math. It's just simple
the
math.
sidewalk before. So
It's just simple math.
I'm sorry,
If
just-
it's only a 9-foot clearance, then even a 2-foot table does not fit, so I think.
Okay, well, let's hear it from the community guy first, so then we can figure it
Right.
out.
No,
I think
you
we
can
can
just go
delegate
first.
this to Carrie.
Yeah.
Valerie, did you move Just think over.
No. With Carrie, the three of us, yeah, and Greg was with us, yeah. And when we went for the roadway, we immediately said, like, there's only this much space to walk by for the sidewalk.
Send you over?
It would never work. I'm just looking for my email, because I measured the sidewalk. Right. Parts, where we can.
On 19th Street.
No.
Sandra, you can unmute.
We'll check on.
One of these squares is 5.
I'm trying to find my old email from the measurements in February. Yeah, we did it when we did
It's
it.
actually about
When we did the roadway.
Sandra, like this one, there you go. All right, Sandra, you're muted. Go ahead.
I only see one square, which is usually 4 feet, 4 to 5 minutes. So that would be like
It's-
8 to 10.
Can you speak up?
Sandra, go ahead.
Oh, okay, can I speak?
Yes, please.
So, we've had kind of a fraught relationship with Lulu for many, many years. There were many issues, but I have to say that recently, Mina has really started to address some of these issues. So we had a meeting with him. I am surprised that, it's only 9 feet. I thought we did the measurements ourselves, but I trust Carrie's measurements. I mean, there's no reason to revisit that. We reviewed the plan, and if the measurements hold, then we thought that actually the plan itself was reasonable, but it's going to come down to implementation. And the problem is that the implementation up to this point has not, the restaurant had many, many months to actually start, implementing these plans, and not just the day before this hearing. So that's my concern, because that doesn't bode well, with the future implementation if they just started doing it maybe yesterday or a couple of days ago. But we decided to support the applicant just because they have been really reaching out to the community and listening a little bit more to our concerns, and have become much better players in recent months. So that's
That's good to hear, thank you. So I guess what I'd suggest is you set up a time, Christine and Carrie, when you can go when the applicant's gonna be there.
Yeah.
And just try to, and then I'm content to delegate this to the two of you to work out a position, whether it's a modification or if it just doesn't fit.
Yeah.
Natalie, can you?
It's not
you have
going to
contact
fit.
info? Sorry?
It's not going to fit. So if you're saying that we just say, let DOT deny it, then.
Well, I think.
No, what we can do is look at the plan, look at the measurement. If there is a little corner where they can put 2 or 3 tables, fine, we don't have to penalize them. So if we can get creative.
To do that though, you would have to establish, you would have to put up the perimeter, which doesn't exist, and include the service aisle, correct? Which doesn't exist.
We'll do all that.
Yeah,
We'll do all that.
so
I think a recommendation is maybe they just try to work on extending their roadway dining and get rid of the sidewalk.
I think we approved that,
we
right?
did
we did?
approve the roadway dining, yeah.
Yeah, we did.
Oh.
Because we had all these complaints about the operation.
That was back in February.
Yeah, live music and everything, so we recommended denial. I don't think about it.
We can come back.
But the roadway dining is up.
Yeah, no, I'm saying the position we took was to recommend it.
Yeah, I don't know what, we'll have to check on all the approval starting next year. And verify that it's happening the way it is.
Christine, yeah, so do you still wanna go to the site?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think, if we can find a way to give them 4 tables.
Yeah.
I'm in favor of it,
Okay.
it's just.
So- Is the applicant still here, right?
Yes.
Okay, so, what I'd like to do, and Nellie Gonzalez in the board office will coordinate this. Christine and perhaps Carrie or other committee members will set up a time when you can be there and you can both measure things and see if we can get anything to work with. Does that make sense to you?
Absolutely.
Okay, does Nellie, do you have this contact info?
Yes, the email that's on file.
Okay, so she'll email you, the three of you, and try to set up a time to meet. And I suggest what our motion be is to give Carrie and Christine authority to figure out what fits, and if something fits, you know, we'll recommend approval, and otherwise recommend it out.
Okay, do you mind if I share my email somewhere? Because the email that you haven't put is not mine.
To Nelly Gonzalez at CB4.
Should be in touch here, I think you probably have
At
Nelly
Nick
Gonzalez.
Gonzalez.
Yeah.
But in the package, they usually have the many. Okay.
Okay, so, did we hear a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Right, all those in favor? Okay. Thank you. All right.
All right, thank you. So I'll wait for an email now to set up a meeting,
Yeah.
correct?
Yes. All right.
Okay. I will send Nelly Gonzalez, the last letter of Gonzalez is with an S or with a Z?
It should be on
Okay, so I'll send it.
it should be on the community board website or
Okay,
It's N.E. Gonzalez at cb.nyc.gov, but it is on the MCB4 website.
7-5.
got it.
Thank you.
That's.
All right, next up is number 15, 75 9th Ave, Mucci Cafe.
Thank you.
This is.
Alan, you went to this?
Yeah, so I think it's actually a little bit wider. I was concerned about a service zone, but we're now dealing with the 1 foot service lane. That part is okay. My only concern is the barricade. This is a very busy, very congested sidewalk in front of Chelsea Market. It's the front entrance to Chelsea Market. And previously, outdoor cafes had barriers with planting barriers. And most of the plantings flipped over onto the sidewalk, so people were having a hard time, in my observation, last year, maneuvering around all the plantings. So I was just curious to find out what kind of a barrier they're going to use and keep it to the fabric type.
So they don't have anything there now?
Well, there's nothing on the sidewalk now. They haven't put anything out there.
There is nothing on the drawing.
Yeah, well, the applicant's here, I think.
So my only question really is the barrier, would they have to keep it to a fabric barrier or some sort, but not the 6 foot wide or 7 foot wide with plantings coming.
No, but if the barrier is like a planter, it has to take the space from inside the.
Right, what happens is the plants come out on the sidewalks. Unless they keep.
Yeah, well, I mean, the applicant's here, let's ask him.
Yes, I'm here.
Hi.
Hi.
So the question is, what kind of barrier you plan to use to separate your Sidewalk Cafe from the rest of the sidewalk?
Yeah, so we're planning to use one of those fabric dividers, but I just wanted to share that we're not serving anything. We're just simply trying to put a seating and a table for the customer to sit down, so there won't be any serving. So yeah, I don't know if that makes any difference.
Self-serve.
Yes, self-serve. So everything will be purchased inside of the cafe, which is located on the 9th Avenue inside of Chelsea Market. And customers are free to sit down outside if they would like to.
Yeah.
And the table and barricade will be put out every morning and then bring it in at end of the day.
Yeah. And do you serve liquor there? Are you gonna have a liquor license?
No, we don't sell liquor, so we don't have one.
Okay, so you don't need to sell liquor inside?
No, just
Okay.
the coffee and the juice.
Okay. And you don't have any, you won't have any music outside, correct?
Yes.
No music,
Oh, no, no music, just inside.
okay. All right, so I think the only thing you have to be careful about is you just have to, wherever that barrier is, just make sure they're 10 feet of the sidewalk left clear.
Okay.
Yeah? You okay with that, Al?
Yeah, too.
Good.
No obstruction.
Any other questions or comments from the committee? Nelly, do we have anyone online?
There's no one with the raised hand.
Entertain a motion? Motion. All right, all those in favor? That passes, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Last one is number 16, 72 7th Avenue, District Local.
This is me again. This one was fine. It's a very wide sidewalk. There was only one thing, like sort of half of the Sidewalk Cafe is a half a foot short of the tree pit. So I spoke to the manager, or Sean, I'm not sure if he was the owner, manager. He said, no problem, he'll slide it back. It's quite big, the Sidewalk Cafe. They have plenty of space. That's it.
Great.
Super.
Is the applicant here?
Yes.
Hi. Yeah, it looks like we're okay with this. Did you have any comments or anything you wanted to say?
No, just like I say, if you let us know the exact measurements and, we move it back, I mean, we're trying to comply as much as possible, so.
Yeah.
Right.
6 inches.
Yeah, you just have to clear 10 feet from any part of the tree pit, including the corners.
Yep.
Wait, it's 8 feet, right?
10.
And
On the avenue.
8 feet on streets and 10 on the avenue.
or,
When there is a,
well, there you
I'll
go.
send you the guy.
Yeah.
But the
Or-
guidelines say 8 feet, Christine.
On what?
Tree
On
pit.
7?
Well, but it's,
No.
there are two standards. It's, there are certain dimensions for every street or avenue, but also it's the greater of that or half the sidewalk. And the sidewalk, according to their plans, is 20 feet. So it has to be 10 feet, which is what the diagram is showing. And they agreed on this. They said it has to be 10 feet.
Okay, I have 7.5 feet from the
Oh, well, wait a
from the
second.
barrier to the tree pit.
But he's gonna move back the barrier.
Well, no, she thought it was only a foot, 6.5 a foot.
Half a foot, yeah.
Does it say, but it says 10 feet right here.
Yeah, what is that? Yeah,
What is, it says 10 feet from the tree pit
right,
on the drawing.
yeah.
But did Carrie measure 7 feet?
7.5.
So
And was it set up the same way as on the drawing there?
Yes.
this side, the barrier. So the tree pit comes out.
But we spoke about it, and he also said DOT told him that it was 8 feet.
It was on the Monday, I read the inspector by on Monday, he said it was 8 feet.
Yeah, because your diagram uses 10 feet, but that's, what is that about?
10 feet.
It's not mentioned as 10 feet. It's actually not like 8th Avenue, which is 10. It's 8 on the guidelines.
Below 23rd Street.
Below 23rd?
Below
Yeah.
23rd Street.
Below
It's 8
23rd.
feet?
No.
It's 10 feet, right? Yeah. It's in your folder. It was in the Dropbox.
Thanks.
But any event, the sidewalk's 20 feet, so it has to be 10 feet by that.
Right.
And
That's standard. All right, so when we go down, we just measure that again.
you know what?
Oh, sorry, I'm a failure in measuring.
We'll be in the neighborhood. Just an excuse to see you.
Okay, so, to the applicant, Nellie will reach out to set up a time when
Which
you,
one's it?
you can meet with a couple of us.
And Lulu.
And Wuji?
No,
No, seven.
the last
seven,
one.
yeah.
Which I think are pretty close to each other.
Okay, does that make sense? Will you be available next week or so?
Yes, yes.
Oh,
Okay, Nellie, do you have his contact info?
Yes, I do.
Okay,
Now, do you have anyone from the community?
we do with Mochi? Okay.
That's what I thought. I didn't write.
There's no one.
Okay.
all right, so I think again on this one, we'll delegate it to Christine and Terry and anyone else who wants to go.
Yep.
We still has team.
Experts.
Okay, so does anyone else want to go on this field trip to Pico Arcade? If you do, just let Nellie know if you want to go to one of those, please, or Christine and Terry.
I will entertain an official motion on this.
Yeah.
Great, all those in favor? Great.
And what is new business thing? This is when.
He moved the last thing to the first
Thank
thing.
you.
Yeah.
I knew how excited you'd all be to do it at this time, so we're gonna go away. Okay. Thank you, sir. Phil, we'll be in touch to set up a time to meet. Okay.
All
right, motion to adjourn. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
I think doing before 5:30.